Welcome, everyone, to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here.
Okay.
Oh, we're on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. Oh, yeah, it's one of those type of days. I guess I'm having an off day, just like the Islanders this evening. But welcome, everyone, to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
I'm the NHL analyst and expert. Get it together.
All right, NHL analyst and expert. That's right. There's been a lot that's going on today, Grumpy. Islander-wise, that's just taking us like a whirlwind, Grumpy. But yes, he's our NHL analyst and expert, the Grumpy Old Man.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, Grumpy. I'm sorry that was a lackluster introduction. But for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. This is a twice-a-week All Islanders podcast. It takes place every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every single Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're new to the channel, we send you a cordial invitation to subscribe on YouTube, to like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. That is the best way to make sure you don't miss out on any of the Islanders action this year to wrap up the regular season and launching our way into this year's postseason. Woohoo! That's how you make sure you don't miss out on any of the action. Liking on Facebook, subscribing on YouTube, and following on Twitter. Also,
just do it. I'm not no offering of pleasantries. Just do it. Hit the buttons, hit the subscribe, hit the like, help us out, please.
Just do it. Right, Grumpy?
Right.
But yes, as I mentioned, twice a week. And also, if you enjoy the content, the best way to let us know is by leaving a little thumbs up. Apparently, that helps the algorithm. It helps get mine and the Grumpy Old Man's word out to the masses. That's right, because we are dangerous words we spread here. No, all joking aside, today we've got a lot in store for the show. Lou Lamoriello spoke to the media for the first time in I don't know how long. It seems like a few months, but the more and more he speaks to the media, the more I think, wow, actually, I like it when he doesn't speak to the media, and my thoughts just kind of manifest on their own instead of actually hearing it verbalized in his and his response.
He's got to go.
We'll talk about that, but we won't jump too much into that just quite yet because I do also have one other housekeeping item. As you heard my gaffe and screw up at the beginning of the podcast today, we also do have a secondary podcast called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man that takes place every single Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's an all-sports podcast where we talk anything and everything sports. We talk NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, college athletics, world football, anything and everything sports. It's called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. I'm joined with the Grumpy Old Man and the magnificent Son X to talk everything sports. So make sure to give that a listen. It's in the link in the description below or as a featured page here on our YouTube channel called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. So tomorrow we'll see you guys there at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today, you're right, Grumpy. There's a lot to talk about. Lou Lamoriello came out and addressed the press. We find out, right? A few things. Matt Barzal, he's going to be skating today or tomorrow.
Good
news, right, ladies and gentlemen? For right now, that's hold on. Oh shit! I forget which one's to clap on the soundboard, Grumpy. But it's good news, right? We've got some happy news there. Matt Barzal going to be back in skating. We'll see the severity of it and kind of how quickly he can be back. But ideally, right, he'll have 2 weeks at least to skate. Hopefully, he could be ready come postseason time.
Yeah, I don't know how ready he'll be or what percent he'll be because it's going to take a little while for him to get back to feeling good out there if he's just starting to skate now. So what's the matter? I see
Did you just see that freaking my God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the reactions we'll have on the show today. We're going live tonight during the Islanders versus the Tampa Bay Lightning game. And holy shit, we talk about guys well out of position. Holy shit. You like how Romanov is still chasing his guy well up the ice, and Horvat's like, uh-oh, we're doing a look behind. That was a hell of a stop Sorokin made on Hagel. I mean, beautiful sprawling save against Hagel. Fantastic job by Sorokin.
Okay, so is that what we're talking about now?
I just went, that's it. I just was
here's the thing. They say bring your A game. You're bringing your Kyle Palmieri game today.
So that's like an A double. That's an A plus, right, Grump?
3-0.
Oh,
Kucherov
shit.
breakaway. Okay. Are we going to talk about this game, or do we want to talk
No,
about
let's talk about the other things first, because here's the thing: even if we get run off the ice and lose 7-0, it still doesn't change the situation we're in. But let's talk a little bit about, right. We mentioned Map. He's back skating. You said it may take him a little bit longer. It's
Yeah,
good to be back skating this early, but
right. So you want to know how long it's going to take him to get in game shape. He hasn't skated in what, month and a half, 2 months?
sure. Yeah, about a month and a half since February, late February.
We still don't know what the injury was. We don't know. We know it's lower body. Is it going to be something that takes away his, his edge work, or, his acceleration? We don't know. So we really don't. Here's the good news, is that he's going to be skating again. I just wonder how long it's going to take before he's fully ready to go. And that's my concern with that. I think he'll absolutely help us.
Yeah, Matt Barzal definitely does.
Yeah. I mean, even with our little string of good wins here, we're not looking great offensively. We're playing teams where the goaltending is weak. We're seeing a team with a good goaltender tonight in Tampa Bay. And, well, you see what happens. I mean, Tampa Bay's good. There's
a reason you make it to the Stanley Cup Finals 3 years in a row. That's not by accident.
Tampa Bay will beat Toronto, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I'm jumping on board with that train now too.
Yeah,
I originally
absolutely.
said I still believed in Toronto, but Tampa, I thought Tampa was maybe a little over the hill. They're still damn good.
This game looks like they're on a power play the whole game, honestly.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good. That's one of those teams. This is one of those benchmark games. We said Toronto's not, they're just not there. I'm sorry. They're missing something. The Devils are not there yet. Weak goaltending, right? The goaltenders, Sorokin. And it's funny, before it was 0-0. I'm watching the game today and I'm going, okay. I said, you know what? I'm feeling good about the Islanders making a legitimate run. I really was. And then I see how, okay, this is a team that knows how to win, like Boston knows how to win. And we can't keep up with them. They know how to win. And it's like they're just toying with us. And I've said it, but I kind of bought in a little bit with Sorokin. And Sorokin's been great again tonight.
Yeah, 3 goals against, but he's still been fantastic. But let's bring this Grumpy back to Matt Barzal, right? Let's bring this back and let's talk about what happened, and we'll talk about the game today. Matt Barzal being back is a big help, no doubt about it. He's a big help, Grumpy.
Huge.
He's a guy who very dynamic. I think we've seen it. Bo Horvat does not produce offensively without Matt Barzal. That plain and simple. So having Matt Barzal back is going to help Bo Horvat's production. It's as to how much it helps. Oh, go ahead, Grump.
Helps our power play. Helps our 5-on-5. That's how important he is. Everyone, oh gosh, we'd do so much better without Matt Barzal. Really? Because if we were playing playoff type teams, we wouldn't be winning those games.
Yeah, we played a lot of teams in the suck zone. But hey, even if we lose to Tampa in regulation here, over the last 25 games, we will have been 16-5-4. I mean, that's a freaking fantastic run of 16-5-4.
Yeah.
You want to know how teams make the postseason when they look like everything is all but squandered and the year's done? You go on a 16-5-4 run. That's how you make the postseason. But
thank you, Islanders, for proving me right. I said whoever got hot down the stretch were going to be the teams that made the playoffs.
Yeah, and the
Islanders got hot. In the Eastern Conference, the 3 hottest teams in the Eastern Conference are Boston, us, and the Rangers.
The Rangers are freaking playing good hockey right now.
Rangers will beat the Devils.
The Devils, I feel like, are a paper tiger. The Devils, it's still really, it's like when you're taking a bite of an apple and they try to chew off way too much and they can't actually close their jaw.
It's like last year's Florida Panthers.
Sure.
As good as they were in the regular season, hadn't been in the playoffs before. They wound up coming up against Tampa. And, well, did they come up against Tampa? Who did they lose to? I forget. Did they lose to Tampa?
In the first round. They didn't. Yeah, maybe they lost to Tampa. They got killed.
Okay. It's Tampa. I mean, no offense to Tampa, but it's, no offense to Florida, but it's Tampa. I mean, Tampa's good. Tough to beat. Boston today, beating Pittsburgh. right? Tristan Jari again. Last 2.5 minutes, he gives up the goal, losing the game.
That team has zero chance of making a postseason. Zero. By the way, Tampa Bay up 4-0 now on the Islanders. Yikes. But yeah, so you're right. That's a situation where I think Pittsburgh is done and dusted. Pittsburgh was, I thought, in pretty decent shape, and miserable goaltending cost them. And I mean, miserable goaltending cost them any chance of making the postseason. And at this point with the Islanders, I would take Sorokin out of the game. You're down 4-0, middle of the way through the second period. Get him rest. You have been relying upon Sorokin. Over that 25-game stretch, I think Sorokin's played 22 of those games. You're getting shelled today. No need to keep him in for the entirety of the game. Give him the rest of the day off.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you have Varlamov, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's why we didn't trade him.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that, Grumpy, in due time. But yes, to talk about it, Mapler's all back. Big help. Will help the power play. Will help us score points. Will help us be more dynamic on the offensive side of the puck. I don't buy into our record without Matt Barzal is 10-5-1 or whatever the hell it is.
We didn't play anybody. We ain't played anybody. We played a couple of paper tigers, and then the rest was trash. In that whole stretch, a couple of paper tigers, Toronto and Jersey, and then everybody else was a trash team. Every other team was a trash team.
Varlamov is coming in the net. Thank God. Okay, well, good. But yeah, there was a lot of paper tigers. Yeah, I think that again, Devils too much in such a short time period. I originally was in belief that maybe Toronto takes the next step forward. There, no, still not. Nope. Absolutely not. So yes, Islanders, Matt Barzal going to be skating this next week or so. Don't rush him back, right? If it takes him a while, if he has any setbacks, shut it down. There's no need to risk a long-term injury that's going to affect the start of next year for trying to patch something together. I do believe if you're back skating now 2.5 weeks before the start of the playoffs, I feel comfortable that he should be ready. I do.
I don't think he'll be 100%.
Absolutely not. He won't. He probably has a nagging injury. Oh God, look at that. They're mixing it up over here. Oh crap, Romanoff took one up to the face or something. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted, but it looks like everybody's getting upset, and Romanoff is on the ground. Oof! I wonder what happened there. I didn't get to see it.
Well, Romanoff looks like he fell face first in the ground. Well, he took a shot at Corey Perry here. He tried to get him in a reverse headlock, and Perry hit him with a DDT from Jake the Snake Roberts right into the ice. Definitely get hurt.
His wrist. He's holding on to his wrist or his chest. Oh, he's fine.
He's okay. He's skating off on his own power. He's holding his little wrist. He'll be all right. Getting back to Matt Barzal, not even any contact yet. I mean, just skating and being ready for contact is something totally different. So correct. I don't know if he'll be ready. I don't think he'll be ready to go before the end of the regular season. I think it'll be in the playoffs if we get him back. I mean, we only have 5 more games after today?
Yeah, 5 games after
5 more games.
5 games.
You haven't skated. I don't see how you make it back before the beginning of the playoffs. But good news is he is skating. And this was the timeline that they were thinking, right? Maybe the beginning of the playoffs. So let's see what happens.
I hope it's not coincidentally, hey, Matty B, we need you for the playoffs. Time to skate now or never. Go ahead and tough through it. Because that's, that is the reality of things too. Sometimes when you start skating, it's a little early, probably if you're a normal human. But hey, with an athlete, it's a bottom line business trying to win games. Sometimes you got to get out there and try to win a little sooner rather than later. Now,
how close to the deadline was he hurt?
It was a few games before the deadline.
Why didn't they put him on long-term injury and try to acquire a big piece at the deadline? You know what I'm saying?
It's a good question, right? Because they could have done that just like Tampa, just like Boston, because it was before. I think that I got to look up what day the injury was.
Yeah, I think it was before the deadline. And it's like, well, no, it couldn't have been because we traded for Horvat early. But I mean, if that was the case, why didn't we just put him on long-term injury? You bring him back for the playoffs. You had to know he was not going to be ready to play by the regular season.
Okay, the deadline. Yeah, he was hurt. He got hurt on February 18th. because we added Engvall to a team. Yeah, he got hurt on February 18th. Trade deadline was on March the 3rd. So they could have done that. But again, they had cap space. It wasn't like they didn't have the cap space available. They could have done that without issue.
They could have went after Patrick Kane.
He only wanted to go to the Rangers.
Well, you trade for him. Anybody who gets traded here, the Stockholm syndrome takes effect, and maybe he said, "Hey, I love the Islanders." You never know. But I mean, why not go after a big piece if you have that option of putting a guy on long-term injury since he's not going to be ready during the regular season? They had to know, right? And then you just have him out there skating and then bring him back for the playoffs.
Long story is you could have, if they wanted to, added more of a powerful piece.
That's a failure that's another failure of the general manager, the ancient general manager.
Well, we'll talk about that because he came out and spoke today. But Matt Barzal being back is a big plus, right? I don't think we could say that enough. That's a guy who hugely important for the team. Unfortunately, I think the mountain and the task is a really, really hard ask. Right tonight, we're losing to Tampa. Florida's up like 3 or 4-0 on Columbus. They're going to have, I think, same amount of games played as us, and they're going to be 2 points behind us. We've still got Carolina and then Tampa the next 2 games.
Those are 2 more losses.
Those are 2 really tough games. So, this is right. We're battling right now. We talk about how long we've been in like a playoff type of feel and a playoff type of playing mentality. Well, shit, there's a big difference of playing Boston and playing Carolina. Both teams are really good, but Boston is just, they're world beaters. It's that simple.
Don't want to play Boston.
If I had to pick, it's more Carolina. And hey, if somehow the Devils in Carolina collapse, that would be the best case scenario, is playing the Devils in the first round. But too many things would have to go right for that to happen.
Yeah. Tomorrow's a big game for Carolina. Here's the thing. I thought the advantage for us would have been if Carolina, because Carolina doesn't want to play the Rangers in the first round, right?
No, they don't.
So, for Carolina, best case scenario is, hey, we get the Islanders or Panthers in the first round. They don't want to have to play the Rangers in the first round. I don't think anybody wants to play the Rangers in the first round. They're starting to peak a little bit. I don't think they're there yet, but let's just say, let's play the game. If the Islanders play Carolina in the first round, beat them, play the Rangers in the second round, beat them, play Boston in the third round, beat them, I mean, you've absolutely earned your trip to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. If they beat Carolina, they beat the Rangers, and they beat Boston. You're correct. They've gone through the gauntlet, and I don't know how anybody out there could not root for a team. Any third-party individual, what is going on? They've had a lot of talks going on right now. But you're right. If you run that gauntlet and you make it to the finals, yes, you deserve to be there. There's no scam final appearance. But I'll tell you, so this is good news. Matt Barzal back. He's going to be skating either today or tomorrow. Hey, I'm happy about that. I really am.
It takes a while before you're ready to play, though. I mean,
it does.
Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall have been, he's going to wear the yellow jersey, whatever the hell it is, no contact jersey, just him out there skating, isn't even taking part in drills.
I was about to say there's no contact. It takes a while. That's why I said 2 weeks. It honestly might be 2 weeks. Maybe 2.5, 3 weeks until he's ready to go. It takes a while.
I don't see any way that he's ready for the first round. I can
see he's ready for the first round. 2.5 weeks. It depends on how much they give him to start. It's like when they say skating, is that like, hey, we're doing some straight line skating and some stops and starts? That's what we're doing, or we're not working too much. We don't know. When they say lower body injury, is it his hip? Is it his abductor? Is it like an IT band? We have no idea.
But he hasn't skated since the injury.
Correct.
It's like he's going to have to go through spring training or preseason. You have to. You're not ready for day one. He hasn't skated
He's been able to be on the bike and able to do like rehab like that. We're not sure what the injury is. It's that simple.
Right.
And that's the one shitty thing about hockey, the NFL, all those type of sports where we really don't have to disclose anything. I just say lower body injury, questionable. Lower body injury, week to week.
Return, questionable.
He snapped his ankle the wrong way. Return, questionable.
Yeah.
And so, that's the one thing that's at least comforting about the Major League Baseball is as soon as something happens like that, you know exactly what the injury is, the severity of it. And it's not like you're playing doctor. You're playing resident doctor. until you see him back. But it's good to have him back, right? So for everybody who's like, oh no, we're ultra negative, we're going to talk about the positive right off the rip. Right off the rip.
Well, I don't know who says we're negative. I think we're just realists.
Sure.
Here's the thing: you've gotten a little dark in the last couple of months. You absolutely have gotten a little dark.
You're going to see why today. You're going to see why that has been today. Yeah. So in Lamoriello's press conference in his interview, he spoke about a few things. And, I will give, right? I'm going to give applause and credit to the members of the Islanders cartel media. They asked a few tough questions.
Do we get to hear the questions?
Yeah. I'm going to post them up.
Because I'm going to talk over them if I hear them.
What?
I'm gonna break it down what they're saying.
Can we listen to it first, and then you could go by and do like your because I want people to be able to hear it because it's a 10-minute long interview with Lou Lamoriello. I've gotten the minute or the minute and a half long that everybody really wants to talk about, or at least I think is important to speak about. There aren't a lot of views on this video, by the way, either. There's only 5,500 people who have listened to this clip. So for a lot of people, this might be new information. So that's all I'm going to leave it at. Lou Lamoriello did go ahead and address the media today. Let's go ahead and listen in. I'm going to bump the volume up. We're going to play it straight. Then we're going to go ahead and talk about it. It's about a minute-long clip.
He knows the game. So he's fit in very well, without question.
Hey, Lou, I understand, your whole career, your belief in strength in the net, and that's not just one guy, right? But given Sorokin, playing 18 or 23 games, is it fair to maybe question, if there had been a chance to trade Varlamov for future assets, could that have helped the organization maybe more than, him really not playing down the stretch? I mean,
where did that question come from?
I'm just curious,
It was never even a thought in my mind.
Okay. Let's stop it at that one. Okay. First question by Andrew Gross was, you've only played Varlamov about 2 or 3 games over the last 23. Did it ever cross your mind, or maybe do you wish that you could have traded him because you've utilized him so little?
He was scared. He was scared to ask the question. First of all, he was afraid to ask the question. Seeing how Semyon Varlamov is an unrestricted free agent. He's played 3 games since the deadline. Don't you think it was foolish not to move him for future assets? That's the question. And then let him stumble and bumble around like the 80-year-old man that he is. Where did that come from? You know where it came from? Everyone's thinking it. I mean, that's where it came from. I'm like, dude, why are you not trading UFAs? Why are you not trading guys who aren't going to be on the team next year? Or even if they want to come back? Who gives a shit? He's a freaking backup. He's a backup. Backup. You never considered trading a backup? A guy who played 3 games out of 25? A freaking backup. Stop. Now his failure is complete.
I think the response that
where did that question come from?
Well, no, the first response was he didn't even respond. He didn't even respond at first. He just looks like, what the hell are you doing asking me these questions? These aren't the scripted questions that I got notified of before the press
conference. I gave you to ask.
Where is this one coming from, Andrew Gross? Why are you asking this question? Because everyone is thinking it, everybody's thinking it, Lou Lamoriello. You didn't trade away a guy who's an unrestricted free agent who you didn't even utilize as a backup goalie. Do you think maybe, just maybe, it would have benefited the team in the long run if you could have accrued assets? It didn't even cross our minds. Well, for everybody who was wondering, hey, remember at the deadline, everybody's saying, well, I think it's a great idea if Lou Lamoriello trades that piece, and he didn't, and everybody tries to go ahead and say, well, actually, it's great that he didn't trade that piece. He wasn't even considering trading away Varlamov, a goalie who they weren't going to use. It's like saying we need to keep our backup quarterback, even though we could get paid hand over fist if we traded him, because what happens if Tom Brady gets hurt, or what happens if Patrick Mahomes, because that's what Sorokin is. Sorokin's the Patrick Mahomes. Sorokin's the Joe Burrow. Sorokin is the top dog, top 3 goalie in the NHL. What happens if he gets hurt? Well, doesn't matter how good your backup is. If you lose Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrows, you're not winning the Super Bowl. You're not winning the Stanley Cup Finals. It's that simple.
Your season's over.
Yeah.
What happens is your season's over. Anytime you lose a player of that caliber, your season's over.
Correct.
Period. You can patch it together in the regular season, but you're not winning the Super Bowl. You're not winning the Stanley Cup. Just not happening.
So that was the first portion here. We've shared our thoughts on it. It's kind of distressing to hear that. Just a little bit. We weren't even your job as a general manager is to consider all things. Your job as a general manager is to make sure you can play cost analysis. If we did this, does it pay off? How much does this hurt us in the short term? How much does it benefit us in the long term? And how does that help the future and the president of the team?
It begs the question, how many untouchable players are on this team? 25, 30 who've never won anything? When you're saying that your backup goalie, didn't even consider that. Why would you not? You should always be, if somebody calls you on somebody, you should absolutely take the call.
Correct.
You never know. They might give you a blowaway offer and say, well, geez, only a moron or a guy who's in his 80s would turn down a deal like that. I mean, it's like, I guess Anders Lee, he's untouchable. Zach Parise, untouchable. Mayfield, untouchable. Everyone. How many guys are touchable on this team? Matt Martin, untouchable. You wouldn't even. Matt Martin plays every night. Semyon Varlamov played 3 games out of 25. Three. He's a freaking backup. He's a backup. Why are you not considering making a move to move a guy who's a UFA is going to be gone at the end of the year? And I don't even care if you bring him back. Do you think that other teams trade for guys who are rentals? They're like you. They all, they're definitely signing back. No. Just another catastrophic blunder by Lamoriello.
I'm telling you, it's
disappointing.
It's disappointing and distressing because here's the thing. Even if he said, hey, we considered all possibilities, we didn't think that trading away Varlamov outweighed what people are willing to pay for him at that time period. Yeah, we could call bullshit on it, but at least it wasn't him saying flat out, yeah, no, I wasn't even listening to the phone calls.
Where did that question come from? What?
How dare you ask me that question?
What, Beaky? Beaky the Buzzard? You should have put those 2 pictures up side by side. That little side view of him looked just like Beaky the Buzzard.
Hold on a second.
They need to be side by side. Beaky.
It's not going to be a side by side, Grumpy.
And Leaky. Beaky and Leaky up there.
Oh, hold on.
I would. And you hear the nervous laughter of the crowd. Oh, geez.
Oh, I can't believe he asked that tough question. Oh,
I didn't have the balls to ask that. I can't believe that Andrew Gross did. The fact that the media is petrified of this guy is astounding. They're not doing their job. There he is. There's Lamoriello. Tell me that doesn't look just like the press conference picture today.
Oh, no. And here's the thing. Lou's done a lot of good things. He
it's just like him. Actually, it's more like a turtle.
Lou's done a lot of good things.
Very close.
I don't know who it was who told us he looked like him first, but as soon as they said that, I'm like, holy shit, they're spot on. Yeah.
Was there anything else entertaining in that? Because I haven't heard it in that press conference. Anything else?
The follow-up question by Stefan Rosner. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if he was looking for that response, but Stefan with that question, fantastic, my friend.
I thought that was Andrew Gross who said the question.
That was Andrew Gross who just asked that question. Stefan asked the next question, and it leads to a response that we have been dreading. Worst case scenario, absolute fallout. Nuke has just ravaged the lands that we live on. Fallout bad, Grumpy. And I'm sure you know what has been talked about or what's going to be talked about here. Stefan Rosner asked about Hudson Fasching. We'll go ahead and put this up. Well, actually, Grumpy, do you want to hear Lou Lamoriello stumble over that question one more time?
Yeah, sure.
I was about to say, and then Stefan's right up next.
Yeah, I understand, your whole career, your belief in strength in the net, and that's not just one guy, right? But given Sorokin, playing 18 to 23 games, is it fair to maybe question, if there had been a chance to trade Varlamov for future assets, could that have helped the organization maybe more than, him really not playing down the stretch?
He just asked, is it fair for us to question? Is it fair?
Kissed his ass. He's giving him a hand job as he's asking the question. He's afraid to ask the question, so he figures he'll slurp up on him a little bit, so maybe he'll give him an answer. It's like he's afraid to ask his dad a question because the dad's going to put him in timeout.
Or his dad's going to beat him or something like that. That's exactly what this is like. But is it fair to us to ask the question? What do you mean, is it fair for us to ask the question?
No,
That's
here's
like
the question.
sugarcoating it.
Here's the question. It took him, what, 25 seconds to ask that question? How about this? Maybe you should ask it like this. Don't you feel like a fool not moving Varlamov at the deadline, considering he hasn't played? And every time he has played, you've lost. You could have put me in net and got the same result. Don't you feel like an absolute moron not recouping some assets from a guy who's a UFA? Answer that, Lou. And then he's like, boo, 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 boo. Hold on, let me take my heart medicine. Put the little nitroglycerin tablet under his tongue. That's what he would be doing next.
Well, you want to know what's funny, Grumpy? Is even if
you want to know what's really funny? That Islander fans are going to buy this line of shit, this tripe that this guy's throwing out here.
For certain they will. They just blindly follow. There's always a certain sect of the fan base with whatever this guy does. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that for certain. Oh well, no, we couldn't sign back Varlamov because his asking price was too ridiculous, and he could sign a $2 million contract for somebody else. And common sense would dictate, no, that's not the case. Anyway, they're always going to follow. Point being, they're always going to follow Lou Lamoriello no matter what. Now, what I was going to go ahead and bring up, Grumpy, was even if, right? For those fans who let's push all in at that time period, at the trade deadline, we were not a push all in type of people. And right now, right, it looks we're going to make the postseason. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to make the postseason. We're going to finish 7th or 8th. We're going to make the postseason, right? And that for the right now is what people are focused on, not on the Stanley Cup, even though that's the end goal, because anything can happen. Anyway, we've gone through that.
Well,
but you could have used the assets if you traded Varlamov and flipped them immediately for another player that helps your team on a night in, night out basis. That's what you could have done.
Since you could have put
if you were so hell bent on making this roster the best roster possible to win a Stanley Cup right now, you could have traded the backup goalie who's played 2 games or 3 games in the last 23 and lost all 3 of them and had the same freaking result. And you could have added to the forward group, more depth to the forward group, or added to the defensive group. And you could have been an even more stout team entering the postseason this year. You could have done that.
And you could have traded, if you had those assets, you could have traded for anybody because you could have put Matt Barzal on long-term injury and used his $7 million a year contract as well as the other cap space you had built up.
Yep.
So, like I said, he cannot handle the modern
Machiavellian?
machinations of the way the NHL is run today. He can't do it. Too old. And here's the thing. It's not a put down because here's the thing. I hope I'm as healthy as he is at 80. But bottom line is, I won't even be doing a podcast at 80, let alone running an NHL team. I'm sorry, it's too much for him.
Grumpy just announced his retirement from the podcast next year. Holy shit, Grumpy, you're retiring next year?
Yeah, that's it.
All joking aside, I'm going to put this back on here. Listen response, and then Stefan Rosner asked a great question here.
I mean,
where did that question come from?
no,
what's the answer?
The way he asked that question, where did that question come from?
Right here. You don't even know who asked you the question. I'm standing right here. You're looking at me. Do you not know who the question came from? Has your cheese slipped so far off the cracker that you don't even know who asked you the question? I mean, you looked at me. I asked you. I bumbled and fucked all over the question to ask you the question. And you're like, where did that question come from? I mean, is dementia set in? Because how does he not know who asked the question? Where did that question come from? Right here, GM. Woo-hoo!
Well, it's not even that. It's the fact that he has that mindset of how dare you even ask that question of us? How dare you ask that question? Why are you even thinking of asking a question like that to me?
I know it's true, but I thought it was funnier the other way, honestly.
I do too, but I'm like, on a serious note, you're talking about, you're right. He's got everything like everybody goose steps and falls in line. Otherwise, yeah.
Afraid of him. Because you know what? They'll strip you of your press pass. I mean, and then you know what? Gross should, like I said, once again, Gross should ask every tough question because if they take away the Newsday's press pass, he could bury them in the paper every single day. Sure. Every single day. And they come crawling back and apologize. What do you do to a bully? You punch him right in the mouth is what you do.
Yeah.
And they back down. He's a bully. He bullies the media. That's what he does. He bullies the press corps. They're petrified of him. Belichick does the same thing. When you're in position, when you're entrenched as a legend and, you know, you've been in a certain place for so long where you treat people like shit, they just, they're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid.
That's just who he is. That's just who he is. I mean, that's just Lou. That's just Bill Belichick. And here's the thing: Bill Belichick is 2 or 3 times the freaking GM / head coach that freaking Lou Lamoriello is. Too. They're not even in the same breath.
Here's the difference: you're seeing bite back on Bill Belichick now after the last 3 years without Brady. You're seeing that. How long does it go before people say to Lou Lamoriello, "Dude, what you're saying ain't working"?
Yeah.
Your team never won anything. Don't make the playoffs. The year you say it's Stanley Cup or bust, you don't even make the playoffs. You're out by 16 points. Then you squeak into the playoffs the next year. You have no assets going forward. How long can you perpetuate this?
Yeah. Let's look here at this next little portion, Grumpy.
Yes, you know,
It was never even a thought in our mind.
okay.
I guess the best way I can answer that question.
What?
When you signed Fashion, what did you see in his game?
You'd have to go to Chris Lamoriello because he had everything to do with that. That was his signing. That was his person that he had looked at. He thought that he could have been a player that could have been called up on short term
Chris
and maybe even
Lamoriello.
more because of what he saw. And obviously he was right.
Oh, yeah. He's a fucking genius. Let me
Okay,
tell you something.
I want to listen back through that again because you couldn't control, but that's fine.
He's giving the fucking rub to Fredo now. He's giving the rub to Fredo. He's greasing the skids for Fredo. That's what he wants. He wants Fredo's never had a job without his dad. Not his whole life. Even as a fucking newspaper boy, Fredo, the dad got him that. He went down to the news. Hey, Fredo needs a job over here. You're going to let him deliver papers in my neighborhood so I can keep an eye on him. And I know all these neighbors. They're going to buy the paper from Fredo because I'm the guy who runs the neighborhood. That's the way it was. This guy, Fredo, has never had a job without daddy giving it to him. Never. Never freaking ever. Never. Talk about nepotism at its finest.
We talked about what is the worst case scenario. We talked about somehow, right? We talked about the trifecta. We talked about the trifecta of great scenarios. We've also talked about the trifecta of the shitty scenarios. Well, I'll tell you one thing. We made the postseason. So the shittiest scenario is off the board, right? Because the worst scenario was we missed the postseason this year. We traded away the first round pick, all that other stuff, missed the postseason, did not get to recoup the pick. And at this year's offseason is Lou Lamoriello hands the job to Chris Lamoriello. We've talked about it for a while. He is setting the groundwork to try to bring Chris Lamoriello on as the next general manager. That when you hear answers like that, and maybe it could be as simple as that, right? Oh, if it was a one-off situation, you'd have to ask Chris. You know, Chris was the guy who, you know, scouted him, who thought he had value. But it's not even that. Look at this year's offseason. They were talking about, hey, what do you think about Bridgeport? Oh, Chris Lamoriello's done such a good job.
Bridgeport sucks. Bridgeport sucks. Bridgeport sucks. He's been the leader of a suck squad for years and years and years. You know, Daddy got him that job. You know he got him that job. When Charles Wang was owner, he's like, hey, guess what? Toronto says they don't want Fredo anymore. What can I do? Hey, Gary Bettman, can you talk to that loser Charles Wang? Just tell him Fredo needs to run his minor league organization. They'll suck just as much as the big team, but you'll have a Lamoriello in charge. And, you know, Bettman went, hey, Charles, you think you could put Fredo in this spot? At least I think he was there when Wang was still there. And or it doesn't matter. He's like, put Fredo here. Do me a solid, put Fredo in this job. You know this guy is not going out beating feet, getting jobs on his own. Everything's because his dad gets him the job. This guy is 50-something years old, and he hasn't done anything on his own.
He
Except
joined
Hunter Fashing. You know how I feel better about that comment?
Hudson Fashing.
No, it was probably Hunter Fashing, somebody totally different. And he just signed the wrong guy. Let's say Hudson Fashing. You know what I feel better? If he said, how Matt Barzell, what do you think about him? If he would have said, hey, yeah, that's Chris Lamoriello. Why didn't you just say Fredo? Why didn't you just say Fredo? Everyone knows who Fredo is. Why didn't you just say, Yeah, it's Fredo. Fredo found Matt Barzell. I feel better about that, honestly, because you know what it tells me? He can do the same thing that any GM can do, anyone can do. Find a bottom 6 player. Whoop-de-frickin' do. You found a guy who could play on the bottom 6. Congrats. That's the overwhelming. You know what? They're the easiest guys to find in the history of the NHL are bottom 6 guys. They don't have any super skill. They skate hard. They try hard. Ooh, what a find, Chris Lamoriello. Quite a find for you. Sickening. Sickening.
Do you want to hear how the
No.
timeline of events occurred for Chris Lamoriello? In 2016, he was hired by the New York Islanders as a director of player personnel.
What a failure.
In July of 2016, Ledecky and Malkin took over as owners of the New York Islanders, majority owners.
That was part of the deal to get them the team. You got to take Fredo. It's like Fredo. Send Fredo out to some Mickey Mouse hotel somewhere. Send Fredo to take people out for drinks.
He's had
Send Fredo to be player personnel director for the lowly New York Islanders.
He's been the general manager of Bridgeport for a while. And here's the thing.
What's the record? I'm dying to hear it.
We can go over year by year. And again, I count overtime losses as losses. I know some people don't. Whatever. Do your worst. 36, 32, and 5 his first, or 30. I'm sorry. No, it's 36, 32, and 8 his first year. So he had 40 losses, 36 wins his first year as general manager. Next year as general manager, 43 wins. Now, this is his only year with a winning record. 43 wins. He had 24 regulation losses, 9 overtime losses, winning record. The next year, 2019, 2020, 23 wins, 33 losses, 7 overtime / shootout losses. And then you had the abridged COVID year, truncated COVID season, 8 wins, 14 losses, 2 overtime / shootout losses.
What if we extrapolate that out, Phil's facts, over a full season? What is it? 16 losses, 192 wins. I'm sorry, 8 wins, 192 losses, and 7 ties. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. He would tell you, we played against Jeremy Swayman. Jeremy Swayman's a superstar. Well, every team has players that are good in the AHL. But yeah, and then 2021, 2022, 31 wins, 30 losses, 11 overtime / shootout losses. And this year, he's got 30 wins, 26 losses in regulation, and 8 shootout / overtime losses. So he's had 1 year with a winning record.
You know what it sounds like to me? The Bridgeport Islanders are on the hamster wheel to mediocrity. How many times did they make the playoffs?
They've made the playoffs, I believe, once, and they've won one playoff game.
Wow. Sounds like the big team.
Playoff. No, it must have been 2 years. 2 years, I'm sorry. 2 years and made the postseason. They've won 1 playoff series.
Yikes. That's worst case scenario. Was there a tweet put out somewhere today?
Well, it's funny. We mentioned this. I'm going to zoom out on this here because Chris Botta mentioned this. Now, it's funny. How long have we been talking about this being the worst case scenario, too? Now,
2 years.
For a while now. And really, this offseason started to ramp up. Chris Botta said, I said this all season on the podcast. No idea why anybody would assume Lou Lamoriello's deal was the same length as Trotz's deal. Lou has a different deal with Malkin. The reality is Lou will be the Islanders general manager until Lou and Malkin decide it's time for him to step down and likely give the job to Chris Lamoriello.
Mind-numbing.
Now members, more people in the mainstream view are starting to come around that same exact nightmare scenario that we've discussed that we think is forming right in front of our very eyes.
We've been talking about this for at least 2 years.
And this last year, it's really been ramping up on the speculation of what is Lou Lamoriello going to do with an expiring deal.
We have been talking about this for years. For years, we've been talking about this. How do you feel now, Islander fans? How do you feel now? How do you feel with Fredo as your general manager? The guy, what happens when Daddy's dead? He's going to be unemployed. This will be his last job because he's not qualified, obviously, to do anything. The fact that his dad has gotten him every single job he's ever had in his whole life. Isn't that problematic for some people? Stand on his own 2 feet. What he should have done was go outside the organization, see if he could cut his teeth somewhere else instead of under Daddy's thumb.
Well, and I apologize. I'm wrong. The Islanders, the Bridgeport Islanders / Sound Tigers, have not won a playoff round ever under Brent Thompson as a head coach or under Chris Lamoriello as general manager.
Well, didn't they win I mean, because I know they played the
Last year, I'm showing they lost in round 1.
was that the Charlotte? Was round one?
That was in Charlotte. Yeah. So I'm showing they lost in round 1. I'm showing they in 2016-17 out of playoffs, 2017-18 didn't make the playoffs, 2018-19 lost in the first round, 2019-2020 didn't make it, 2020-2021 didn't make it. Last year, 2021-2022 lost in the first round, and this year they might make the postseason. I assume they're going to make the postseason.
Oh, it's not. This is nightmare scenario. This is the nightmare. This is the nightmare we've been talking about for years. There's a reason why we're known as the curve. We see these things so far out in the future. He makes sure that his sonny boy gets the job. Then he goes there, right? He's hired what? A month before Ledecky and Malkin take over. Then what happens?
I think it was right in tandem. I think it was in tandem.
Well, there you go. Like I said, he's never had a job without daddy getting it or not getting it for him, giving it to him. From the time he was a freaking newspaper boy with the little dogs chasing him around the neighborhood, and there's Lou with the shotgun, ba-boom, blowing those dogs out of the way. You don't chase my boy. And here's the thing. Let's say you're late for the dues for the paper. Well, you're going to double next week, triple next week. If not, we're going to poke your eyes out so you won't be able to read the paper anymore. That's Lou Murtha right there.
Now, Grumpy, are you gathering this from personal experiences or something like that?
I'm just telling you.
Oh, good gracious. But yeah, you're right. As soon as we've always looked at this and kind of joked around in the past. And the reason we have discussed this for years is because we thought it was really odd that Lou Lamoriello was praising, and Lou doesn't give out compliments or praise all that frequently and often. Just doesn't. And to hear when he did it this offseason where he's like, not enough people are talking about Chris and how fantastic he's been playing.
It's because he sucks. No one's talking about how good he is because he's
how he's been playing.
He's a no-talent fucking bum. That's what he is. Now look at him. Oh, hey, remember that Cole Bardreau? Hey, he looked good for well, that was all Chris Lamoriello. Yeah. Anybody shows that? What about Carter Verhaeghe? Was that Chris Lamoriello? I saw his name in the comments. He got freaking 39 goals this year. Boy, we could use that. How many guys on our team have scored 39 goals? That's right, 0. None.
Oh, good gracious, Grumpy.
This is worst case scenario. Honestly, this is, and what's his GM strategy? Because Bridgeport sucks. So what's the thing? Malkin and Lamoriello will decide when it's time for step down and give the job to Fredo. Well, what does he say? Well, Fredo's got to be here. Let's see. How long before he has to get to Social Security age?
He's already 62? There, Grumpy. He's already there, Grumpy.
Fredo's not there yet.
Oh, sorry, Fredo.
So Fredo probably guaranteed as general manager of the Islanders until he's ready to retire.
Well, I do want to show you this, right? He took over in 2016, hired as New York Islanders as player director. You look back when he graduated, right? Graduated from Providence College. In 1994, 1996, he joined the New Jersey Devils, working as a scout for his father, Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, tell us the players that why don't you tell us the great players that as a scout he developed for your team, the freaking New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, it's always been funny anywhere really he's gone. They've worked together, and it's when you think about it, it's nice to have that your father son working together. But in the same token,
yeah, that's nice. But here's the thing: I don't give a shit. I want to win hockey club.
I don't think Chris Lamoriello and Lou Lamoriello are rattling off Stanley Cups and Calder Cups. It's just the sad truth of it. But yeah, he was, to answer your question, he was a part of the organization, and he was the director of player personnel back when Carter Verhaeghe was a member of the Bridgeport Sound Tigers.
There you go. Cut him loose because that was a failed evaluation, right? Why don't you tell him about that fail? He can't make it with this team. Let's let him cut him loose. We don't need him.
That's so, obviously there was some good and bad with today's press conference. Good being Matt Barzal's back skating and about, skating today or tomorrow. The bad news is kind of what he said the silent part out loud, I guess. And, the more and more we continue to hear him talk about how great of a job Chris does, we're not stupid. We're not dumb. We know why you're mentioning these things. It's because when Chris Lamoriello does get put in as our new general manager, fans won't jump and say, "Oh my gosh, he just hired his son." No, remember, Lou's been telling us how great he's been for years and just hasn't been given a shot. Well, the crazy thing is he's so fantastic of an AHL general manager that no
They
other
never
team
won
has
anything.
offered-
He fits
no
right
other team-
in.
no
Never
other
won
team-
anything.
no other team has ever invited him to interview for any vacant general manager spot. Not a single team in the NHL has ever offered Chris Lamoriello a chance to say, "Hey, come and interview for this general." At least not to our knowledge, right? And that's usually pretty well
He was
noted.
general manager of the Albany freaking River Rats. How many years and years and years ago? No one's ever hey, we think so highly of you. We want to make you an assistant GM in the NHL. Nobody. He's stuck in the minors for a reason, because he sucks. The only reason he has a job is because Papa Lou has given him everything. Everything. And he knows it. Deep down, he knows it. Fredo knows it. He knows he's Fredo. He knows. It's tough being Fredo. Look at his Wikipedia page. What's the thing? Son of Lou Lamoriello. That's it. Son of Lou Lamoriello.
Say no more.
Like the son of Sam.
Oh man. So there was good with definitely some bad in today's Lou Lamoriello press conference. The more and more I hear these press conferences, the more I think to myself, maybe it's better if he doesn't ever address the press again. So I don't ever have to imagine.
All he does is piss me off. I was having a nice Saturday until you started talking about these things.
Oh, good gracious.
You showed me the clip today, and I sent a puke emoji to you. That's all I did, puke.
I do remember that. And Jesus Christ. Oh,
But
no.
I didn't hear any of it until tonight.
Okay. Well, hold on. We do have some memes that were sent our way. We're going to read some comments here too. I'll show some memes. We're going to read the ad and we'll get into some of these comments. We've got here from Meatball Parm. They're saying, actually, Lou Lamoriello looks like Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo.
Kind of does. Now, let me ask you, not being
He
familiar
couldn't see. He couldn't see. Lou Lamoriello can't assess talent because he's freaking blind. You can put those big glasses on him, the big Coke bottle glasses that Mr. Magoo used to wear.
Let me ask you this. Now I'm not familiar with old-timey and classic cartoons. Was Mr. Magoo known for being a very quick-witted individual and somebody who was very competent and fantastic at every one of the adventures he had? Or tell me a little about Mr. Magoo, Grumpy.
He was like, he cluelessly wandered through life. He couldn't see. He'd walk across the street and old shit would be crashing around him. Cars. He's like, oh, what was that noise? Jim Backus, who played Thurston Howell III on Gilligan's Island, was the voice of Mr. Magoo. He was also in, what movie was it? Was it Rebel Without a Cause? No, I think it was East of Eden. I think he was in with James Dean going way, way, way back. But that was the Mr. Magoo character, just kind of, I even have the Mr. Magoo Christmas special over here where he plays Scrooge. But he was just always kind of, because he was blind. He couldn't see anything. He's wandering around in all chaos. He causes all this chaos without realizing it. He's very similar to Lou Lamoriello.
Well, there it is. Okay. Well, there it is.
He wasn't allowed to have a kid on the show, Bo. I could tell you that much.
Was that Grump?
They wouldn't let him have a kid on the show. No Fredo for him.
Oh, good gracious. Now we've got one. Oh no, Shay, I thought you sent me something, but I can't find it. I apologize, Shay.
Did you want to do the ad read first, or
no? I want to send these memes,
okay.
So we're current up to that, and then we'll jump into we'll do the ad, and then we'll jump to some comments. Now, this is Drew who sent us this meme. It says, Lou, after seeing TJ and Grumpy react.
We don't see the meme. We're not seeing the meme right now.
Okay, thank you. Lou, after seeing TJ and Grumpy reacting to his snide response to Andrew Gross.
No, absolutely not. That is that's no.
If he could have done something like that, Lou Lamoriello would have had that response just based off of the way he's able to control that response a little bit better than that.
I'd love to ask him some questions. Dude, why are you so condescending to the press?
And I'm not usually a guy who defends the press. I can give two shits about the press, but I'm like, you're right. Though. When everybody's so terrified, when everybody's so terrified to ask questions, because if they ask questions, they're going to get stripped. They're going to have somebody go ahead and, they're going to have somebody strip them of the press credentials or go ahead and put them under extra review, or you're going to take a vacation for a week during the season because you're not allowed at the next few post game interviews.
Now, I like Hudson Fashing, but we just saw the skill set that that Chris Lamoriello was talking about. He had a wide open shot pass right to him. He misses the puck.
I like Hudson Fashing a lot.
So do I. So do I. I just don't like Fredo. And I don't trust his judgment.
Now, Tony Cheese, Grumpy, the magnificent
that.
Tony Cheese, he did, shockingly enough, and I don't know how the hell he does this. Tony Cheese kind of has this ability sometimes. He has found, like on blueprints, where every single Islander member lives. And I'll be honest with you, Grumpy, it's kind of a shock. We go ahead and call them the cul-de-sac crew, but look at this. Look at this, Grumpy. Look at this map of everybody that lives in the same area. We've got Pellick and Pulak living next to each other as neighbors. That's pretty
good. Probably live in the house together.
No. Yeah, maybe they do. You have the identity line. Matt Martin, Cal Clutterbuck, and Casey Zizekas all live in the same house together. That's why they got the 3 cars. Very smart, Tony Cheese. You got Anders Lee living here. If you could see all the way on the left to where it looks like the living in the woods. Hold on a second. Let me.
You got to take down that other thing.
Yep.
Got to take the banner down.
Bailey is living out in the woods, Grumpy. He's now been moved out. They kicked him out of one of his houses, and they moved him all the way back here on the back end of the property. You've got Sorokin, 13th overall pick, and Trey Bate we keep right here, all living in the same area. You got Lou and Chris Lamoriello living in the cul-de-sac. Malkin and Snaggletooth. Who is Snaggletooth? Oh, Ledecky.
That's Ledecky.
Oh, no. You've got Matt Barzal, who's living there. Nice yard, a nice well-pedicured. You got Lane Lambert. Open house to entice free agents that won't sign with us. So they do have an open house there in this.
Rick DiPietro.
Ricky D is still living in the neighborhood. 38 special is here, Grumpy. There he is. Kyle Palmieri. They put both of the ex-Devils next to each other. And then the next New York Devil trade, they already have a house lined up for him, Grumpy. Oh, this is gold.
Actually, you know where Bailey should have been living? In one of those cars out in front of one of the houses.
I think if you look really close there, and it's tough to see, that is a vehicle on the back end of the property right next to you.
There you go.
So, wow. Tony Cheese, great investigative work.
Who thought that we were going to have a topographical map of where all the Islanders live tonight?
I'm just shocked. We've always joked around about them being in the cul-de-sac crew, but I guess they all live in the same neighborhood. Who would have figured?
It's all the truth. I just hate being right all the time. All the time.
Oh, goodness gracious.
We called this Fredo thing 2 years ago. Yep. 2 years ago, we called the Fredo. You know what the name of this podcast should be? I told you so. Told you so. Call this one. We are the curve. Anytime you want to know something that's going to happen in the future, just listen to this show. You're going to hear what's going to happen in the future. We talk about it months and years ahead of time because we can read the tea leaves. We're not like these goofs in the media who, I look at how humans operate. That's the whole thing. Oh, let's see. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, that was very close to a penalty there coming back.
Grumpy, I have got awful. I tell you one, look at that. Nice job hustling by Bo Horvat, right? I thought it was maybe a little bit, if that's a tie game, I'm sure that gets called as a penalty, but it's a good job hustling back by Bo Horvat.
That's why he gets paid $8.5 million a year.
To skate hard in the hustle. Hey.
I like Bo Horvat. I do.
Oh my goodness. Grumpy. Grump. Oh no, this is brand new news. Nicole Sherman just tweeted out. Grumpy, look at this. Are you seeing this? Some not so great news to start off the weekend.
Oh, this is not true.
No, Elias Sorokin's revealed that he is not choosing to re-sign with the New York Islanders in 2023-2024 season, citing homesickness and missing. Oh, Grumpy.
I don't know if that's true.
Grumpy. That's it.
No, okay. That cannot be true.
Can you
it's April Fool's. It's April Fool's.
That's right. It's an April Fool's joke. I was hoping you'd have a little bit more of an apoplectic reaction there to it.
No, because like I say, I'm not stupid. You're not putting. Here's the thing. I was born on a Friday, but it wasn't last night. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man. Oh,
nice try.
I like it. To be honest, when I first saw that too, I'm like, why the hell is this being released mid-season? I'm like, that's right, it's April Fool's. Usually that falls during the weekdays, but I'm like, it's on a Saturday this year round.
Usually, yeah, like every, with leap year thrown in, probably 5 out of 6 years, it's during the week.
Well, there it is, Grump. Shit. I'm trying to get everything pulled up here. Today, our ad or podcast is brought to you by DraftKings, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got
Actually,
here.
that was not, I'm going to take that back. That was just a really fantastic. He was really good. Well, he did hit the hands a little bit, but and sometimes they call it, sometimes they don't. I hate that penalty.
If that's a tie game, he's calling that because he turned a body. It's not even because I don't think it's a really infraction, but the Tampa guy felt the stick and kind of turned to it like he was being pulled. He's trying to sell for a penalty.
Like Parise does all the time and gets
Yeah. That's what I say. They're trying to sell for a penalty, but that was, I thought, a hell of an effort job by Bo Horvat. Hell of an effort job.
He got there.
Yes, today's podcast is brought to you by DraftKings. The biggest tournament in college basketball is underway, and the action is just getting started with DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 on any pregame moneyline bet and score $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Plus, combine multiple bets for a shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings will be featuring parlays and odd boosts all tournament long. So be sure to check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day to see what they have in store, Grumpy. So you can go ahead and bet on the Final Four scenarios. Only one, I think one of them is going on right now, but
San Diego State came back from way down to Florida Atlantic. Florida, both of these. Okay, here's my prediction. Whoever wins the late game wins the championship. These two teams, man, they really gagged it down the stretch. Both of them really choked it away.
But yeah, so you can go ahead and say, hey, I'm betting UConn wins tonight, and they win in the championship. You get some same game, or say, hey, I'm betting UConn's going to win, and they're going to beat Miami by 15 plus points, just like they've beaten every other team they played in the tournament. So same game parlays. Download this DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code THPN. Right now, new customers can bet $5 on any pregame moneyline bet and get $150 in bonus bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, with promo code THPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See the show notes and description for additional details.
Fantastic ad read.
Thank you, Grumpy. Well, let's go ahead and start getting to some of these comments, because I want to see if the people who listen, if Islander fans, are also kind of maybe starting to lean towards maybe Chris Lamoriello. They might try to give Chris Lamoriello and just nepotism hire him into this job, because we all know in the business world and every other place, it's usually great when they pass up people who are maybe more tenured and have more experience and are better to hire somebody's son for a job, or son or daughter. That usually ends extremely well.
We see in the NFL teams that are handed down to their children, and those organizations, every single one of them without fail sucks.
Yes.
Every single one. They run them into the ground because they were just gifted something, not talented enough to do it themselves. The fathers were, hey, they had to earn it. When you give people something, it never works out.
You know what?
I'm not going to say never. I'm not going to say never. 99.9% of the time.
Do you remember? You know what this reminds me of? You talked about Bill Belichick earlier. This isn't exactly like Bill Belichick if they were going to hire his kid Steve to be the head coach after him, head coach and general manager after Bill. This is exactly what it was like.
Do you want to hear a story?
Please tell me they're not considering doing that.
No. When Steve Belichick first was in the NFL, Devin McCourty, who was a safety for the Patriots for like 13 years, long time. When Steve Belichick was brought on the staff, he was made defensive backs coach. And, McCourty looked at him and he's like, geez, you're older than him. Half the guys on the team, Duron Harmon, Aqib Talib, they were all older than him. And he came up and he says, you know what? I have no idea what I'm doing in this job. Think about that. Think about how he got hired for that spot just because Daddy Bill hired him. Didn't even know what to do. He admitted that to the players. There's reasons why he's like the de facto defensive coordinator, But Gerard Mayo is the one who does all the speeches because he doesn't feel comfortable speaking in front of groups of people.
Yeah, because nobody
Think about
listens
that.
to him. Yeah,
They don't listen to him. Exactly. Think about that. That's like Fredo. That's Fredo.
What's up, Frank? How are you? Frank Hay said, I'm watching the Lightning abuse the Islanders in WrestleMania as well. Well,
Night one of WrestleMania tonight.
Drew L said, wait, I'm confused. So is Chris the one making the moves, or is it Lou? Or is Chris's job to scout the bottom six talent? Good question, Drew. But maybe they work in tandem because they're just both so good. So when Lou steps down, we're just going to have a seamless and easy transition to another fantastic general manager in Chris Lamoriello.
No, this is what it is. Papa Lou found the guy, brought the guy, and gave Fredo the rub by saying it was him. Chris Lamoriello. Chris Lamoriello. Right? L-A-M-Arillo. You know, let me spell it for you so you get it right in the newspaper. This is the reason why that we have Hudson Fashing. No.
I could see them saying he might say, hey, Dad. Hey, I wonder what he calls him. Hey, Lou. I want you to look at this guy, Hudson Fashing. I've been doing a little bit of research on him. I think you might like him. And then all the legwork and everything else was done there by Lou. And because they're right, that was a great signing. That was a great offseason signing by Lou Lamoriello. I'm giving Lou credit there, right? Because he deserves it. That's a guy where they're able to identify a bottom six talent who's played well.
I like Hudson Fashing. Don't fall in love with bottom six guys. Bottom six guys don't win you Stanley Cups. They're roster fillers. Guess what? You don't need to re-sign him next year. If he wants more than vet minimum, just bring some other ham and egger in. They're all the same. You can find somebody who works hard and skates up and down the wing. Or if they're on every single street corner. You don't need to overpay for bottom six guys.
Elon Avatal says Carter Verhaeghe has 38 goals, yet this organization buried him in the minors. And could somebody please wake up our shiny new $8.5 million by 8-year toy? He's invisible. Talking about Bo Horvat. Well, he only scores.
Fredo, obviously, Fredo didn't know offensive talent when it was staring him right in the face in his organization, right?
Yeah, player development, Carter Verhaeghe, under his control.
That's him. That's him. So what was his decision on that? Let him go?
That was a good one.
Trade him for some ham and egger who's never going to make it?
He's going to be just like his dad. Turn away the talented young forwards who can make a difference and put the puck in the net and go ahead and load the roster with bottom six. Paulo C said, I want Boston very much. Oh, I want to thank Boston, very much for beating Pittsburgh in regulation. Yes. I don't think there's any chance, though, Paulo, we miss the postseason. I think we're going to make the postseason. Pittsburgh blows. They don't have a goalie. I think it's going to be Florida and the Islanders. And I just worry about who finishes seventh and who finishes eighth. I'd rather play Carolina than Boston. Both teams are very, very tough, and I think our chances of winning are very low. But I'd rather play Carolina than Boston.
You should thank Tristan Jarry.
Sure.
Another late third period goal that cost them points. How many times this year has he done that?
All the time. He sucks. His save percentage is like a 907. He did have a save percentage of like 918, 919, something like that before he got injured. When he came back from the injury, he's been garbage since. He's just not a good goalie. Elon said, my bad. It's 39 goals for Carter Verhaeghe. Drew said, I'm turning on the Islander game after the FAU game. FAU is asking to lose this one. Oh, sorry there, Drew. You guys.
They had like a 14-point lead or 16-point lead, and they just, at the end, the other team wanted more. No, they couldn't hit shots. Neither one. Nobody really wanted to win. Kid hits a shot at the buzzer to beat him by a point.
The Wicker Man says, you guys aren't at the viewing party. No, not at the viewing party. Sorry, but Matt Barzal, that is positive news. Absolutely, Frank. Matt Barzal is coming back. Mikey D said Lou's presser this morning was weird. Gross pissed Lou off when he asked him about Varlamov, keeping Varlamov, while Sorokin's playing most of the games. Was it worth it? Also,
he plugged Fredo and gave him credit for Fashing. Like I said, it's like when Hulk Hogan passed the torch to The Rock. You give him the rub, right? Or The Rock passed the torch to John Cena. They all, it's like the old-time wrestlers. They give the guy the rub to make him a star. He's trying to make Fredo a star. Fredo's a dead star. Something that exploded years ago, and you're just seeing a couple of flickers of light. but it's a dead star.
Sergachev just fell down trying to walk to the dressing room. I don't know if he was hit in the foot or hit in the foot with a puck. I wonder maybe he broke something. Who knows? He
know.
just fell down. Well, oh my God. Tampa scores again. Islanders down 5-0. Holy
This
shit.
game,
Crazy scores.
okay. Varlamov's not going to. Here's the thing: they're better than we are.
Yes.
If you lose to Tampa, it's not a crime. They're just better. These are the benchmark teams that I keep talking about.
Not
If
the
you-
paper tigers like the Devils or
Who
Toronto.
aren't there yet. I don't know if the Devils. I don't know if the Rangers are there yet. But you look at the teams that I consider benchmarking: Boston, Tampa, without a doubt, and Carolina. Those are the
I think the
benchmark teams.
Rangers. I think the Rangers, the way they're playing now,
I-
are a benchmark team.
I don't know if they're there yet. They're going to have to win some rounds without playing against third string goalies before I'm convinced they're a real deal.
Okay.
They advanced to the Eastern Conference Final last year. You know, if I'm going to be fair, which I always am, when I rip us for beating Tristan Jarry, the human sieve, and a one-hip Tuukka Rask, you got to say the same thing about the Rangers last year, beating Louis Domingue, the third string goalie, and the third string goalie, Proporov, whatever his name is, for Carolina.
Yeah.
Same thing. You have to beat first string goalies before I'm going to buy into you.
Sure. I don't disagree. Angelo, what's up? How are you?
Nice
Drew
dog.
says here.
Look at that dog. He's happy.
Want to go back to that dog? Sure.
Yeah, look at him. He's happy. He's tilting his head. He's like, hey, what's on? What's up?
Okay. Drew says here, it sounds like Lou is a madman when he gets pressed. And look at those
Absolutely.
responses. Imagine what he's like behind closed doors.
He's like, that son of a bitch, Gross, strip him of his press pass. He's like, Lou, he's the only paper. It's the only island. It's the only Long Island paper. It's the only guy who covers us. I don't care. Get rid of him. He's like Sonny in The Godfather. He's so pissed off he's going to get shot on the causeway, and they're going to put Fredo in charge.
Goon says the Lightning / Islanders equal the Braves / Mets.
Pretty much. Lightning's better. Lightning's good. They
Yeah.
know how to win. They're battle tested. If they don't have a bunch of injuries, they win last year too.
Yeah, Grumpy. Next comment here, the Wicker Man, Grumpy.
Tampa's going to be a tough out in the playoffs, whoever plays them. Yeah, without a doubt.
That's one thing I've come around to believing as well. They're going to be tough. I thought they were over the hill. They're not. Chubby G 6969 said, I actually enjoy baseball with the new pitch clock. It will make the summer more tolerable without hockey and football. I'm telling you, Chubby Cheese, you've got to listen tomorrow to the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man show. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can be found in the link in the description below or as a featured page on our YouTube channel called TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Also, if you just search it in the YouTube bar, you're going to find it too. But we talk about that. And that's one of the things we've been talking about. It's much more tolerable to watch baseball games now.
Absolutely.
JG says, has anybody noticed that Matt Barzal is still second in scoring, even though he's been out for over a month?
Is it really surprising? We're not a team that scores a whole lot. It's the same problem we've had for years and years and years and years.
Scary. That's scary, isn't it?
I go right back to when the liar Lamoriello and Barry Trotz said, yeah, we know we're going to go out and get ourselves some scoring wingers. It's not good enough. We know that we're going to get more scores. Did they ever do it? Nope. Never have. Never.
Got a comment here from Wickerman saying, definitely the pitch clock may save baseball. I hope so too. I hope so. Nick D said here, Frank said, yeah, he noticed it the other day. Matt Barzal's second on our team in scoring, even though he's been out for a month and a half. Crazy. Nick D said, TJ Grumpy, how are you guys doing tonight? Doesn't this year seem a little different? Hey, you never know. LOL. April Fools. There it is. You never know, Grumpy. You never know. It's an April Fool's joke. Oh, that's a good one. Drew L said, TJ, you played Phil's reaction to Matt Barzal being back on the soundboard. No, Phil's happy to have Matt Barzal back. Now, I will tell you, it's funny that, we're trying to mix it. That Tampa's a tough. I feel like Tampa's team is just bigger than the New York Islanders team as well. They're a big freaking team. That's why they're so successful in the postseason, because they're so damn big.
One thing I've noticed, though, and if we play them, it doesn't matter. But
speed gets them.
You can get around Hedman.
Yep.
I mean, he's really good positionally and he's big, but he's not the skater he used to be. Just isn't.
He's still going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm just saying right now, you can
He's no longer a guy who's a top 5, top 10 defenseman in the NHL.
Top 5 skating defenseman. He used to be one of the best skating defensemen as well. Big. He's just not that anymore.
Nobody on this team scores. That's why Tampa just has our number, says Anthony Rizzi. We can't beat that team.
It's not that they have our number.
Matthew
It's
S.
better than we are.
Matthew S. said Sorokin. That's right. Barzal wants to see me and my daughter next Saturday at the game. Yes, says Frank. He probably won't be ready by then, unfortunately, Frank, but hopefully you'll get to see him sometime soon. Anthony Rizzi said, wow, we suck against Tampa. We do. Sorokin could win the Vezina, says Wicker Man.
No.
It's gonna be Linus Ullmark.
Yep.
And just unfortunate truth of it. But I still think Sorokin's the best goalie. Top 3, no doubt. JP said, good evening. Tampa game is a bit scary because the Islanders haven't looked like they belong on the same ice sheet except for Sorokin. At least Bolduc has showed that he has a cannon.
Yeah. They're good. Tampa's good. Again, benchmark games. That's why I always say I don't care how we look against the shitty teams. How do we look against the really good teams? I mean, Toronto's been exposed to being a paper tiger, and so have the Devils, honestly. They're a young team. They're not there yet. They're like last year's Florida Panthers, in my opinion.
Anthony Rizzi said this at the beginning of the show. He said, this is going to be a 5-0 loss.
It's 5-0 now.
It is. That it is. Do you like how they're trying to mix it up here? The Islanders, like Martin and Cizikas are trying to get tough over here. Come on, guys. The game's over.
Yeah.
I know we're trying to save face and try to get the team trying to get the team fired up for their game against Carolina. But come on.
Yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow. I mean, that's a big game tomorrow. Carolina tonight. I think they're steamrolling.
They're killing the Montreal Canadiens. Killing them.
Yeah.
Hey, Montreal. Hey, Carolina's having a tough time scoring. 3 goals against Montreal. Let's see what they do tomorrow. People
Devils
are like,
losing tonight to Chicago. Like
Yeah,
I said, it's going to be Carolina. Everyone, maybe Devils are going to beat out Carolina. They're not going to beat out Carolina.
Maroon and Cal Clutterbuck were both called for 10-minute game misconducts. Ugh. So they're not going to let them fight, is what that means. They're not going to let this get out.
I don't know why the Islanders even mixing up. This is, used to do this.
Go ahead.
The Philadelphia Flyers used to do shit like that. When the game was over, they'd goon it up out there. Just stop. Game's over. Why don't you just say we'll take the forfeit then? I mean, you're not beating them. And here's the thing. I don't think that Tampa is being ultra physical with the Islanders tonight.
They're not. And the Islanders say, well, we got to go ahead and fight and try to get some.
They're frustrated. They're frustrated.
Yeah.
Because today they were thoroughly dominated.
They don't belong on the same ice surface.
That's what I worry about come playoff time. Yeah, you're beating up on the crappy teams and you beat a couple of paper tigers who really didn't have a whole lot to play for. They were locked into their spots. And what happens when playoff time comes and the teams ratchet up their play? How are you going to look? If any of those teams play like Tampa, we have no shot against them. None.
Correct. We've got no chance of beating Tampa. None. Zero. I mean, let's watch. This game is let this game be your example.
I wonder now. You see, they mentioned how Brock is wearing the full face guard.
Sure.
I wonder if maybe doesn't you worry about that getting foggy with it being full? I mean, maybe they should, maybe a little thing like a cage or something might be better for him. I don't know.
I don't care. Goon says, Grumpy, new haircut.
Yes, I did. I got one today.
JG said, if we use the Anders Lee model, it's going to take Barzal another full season to get back in.
There you go. Full season and a half.
JP said, don't sleep on Edmonton.
Ugh, forget Edmonton.
Drew said, the Islanders need to get, or it looks like they need to get Allstate to be protected from mayhem.
Very good.
Goon Grumpy.
Everybody's talking like it's a lock that the Islanders make the playoffs. They will. With this maddeningly hot and cold team, who the heck knows? No, we're making the playoffs.
Unless we lose every game down the stretch, we're going to make the playoffs. There's only 5 games left.
We can say thank you to Tristan Jarry for us making the playoffs.
Yes, we can.
He's the best player on our team. Honestly.
When Pittsburgh doesn't make the postseason this year, they should nuke the team. Blow it up.
They're not going to do that.
They should. I'm just telling you what they should do. They should blow it up. Because Crosby and Malkin only have a finite amount of years left. They don't have the goalie. And they don't have any draft picks because they keep trading those away too.
All they needed was a goalie, though. I was stunned they didn't try to obtain a goalie at the deadline. Stunned.
Yeah. Tampa can beat Boston too, says the Wicker Man. Boston's good.
Boston
That's gonna be-
handled them.
I hope they play each other in a series because that's going to be, as a third party viewer, that is going to be a lot of fun hockey to watch.
That was real physical the last time they played. Boston won, but I think it was 2-1 or 3-2. That will be a good series. Tampa
Did you
is
see
tough.
Romanoff get knocked down. Was that by Pat Maroon? Who
No,
was
I
that
didn't.
by?
I didn't see it.
I don't know who the hell that was by. I'm telling you, we just don't belong. Everybody does not. We just don't play at the same level. Tampa does a lot of the same things we do well. They don't allow easy entries to the zone because under the playing this Barry Trotz system, we're not allowing easy entries into the zone. They're making you fight for every inch on the ice. Tampa is playing, hey, this is what we play into playoff style hockey too, ladies and gentlemen. And
they're just better than we are. Again, there's no crime in losing to Tampa. You should not be upset losing to Tampa. I mean, that's why when we lost to Tampa and didn't win the Stanley Cup those 2 years, it didn't really bother me because Tampa was just better than we are. You lose to the only one things that really drive you crazy is when you lose to a team that you're better than, and you lose that game. That really drives you crazy. If you get beat by, if you're a baseball team and you get beat by the 1927 Yankees, it's like, well, shit, they're the greatest team of all time. All right, we didn't beat them.
Policy says here, but Florida worries me. If they win tonight, they will win 3 straight and they'll pass Pittsburgh and only be 2 points behind us if we lose. Yeah, that's my point. Yep. Florida won. We've lost in regulation. Florida is 2 points behind us. We have Carolina and then Tampa. So 2, again, very tough games on the schedule upcoming for the Islanders. And I'm hoping and praying Florida does not leapfrog us and we're playing Boston in the first round because it's it's a possibility.
That's worst case scenario for us.
Worst case scenario right now is that.
Yeah.
I think we're playing well, says Mark A. I can't believe we're down 3 goals.
Really? It looked like Tampa was on a power play the whole game. Whole game on a power play.
Yeah, I didn't think we played well. Gungun said Grumpy, and that's why we lost 5-0. Gungun said Grumpy. Who do you trust more looking after your hard-earned dollars? Ratso Rizzo or John Spano?
I don't know what Ratso Rizzo would do if he had my money. I know what John Spano would do, so I'd have to pick Ratso Rizzo.
Okay. Anthony Rizzi Grump.
If we were lucky to make a run, we need to get the first wild card spot, and Barzal needs to be 100%. I think we can get the first wild card spot. I don't think Barzal is going to be 100%. He's not. He's just starting to skate.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the severity is because, like, at the end of the year, you see it's like Matt Barzal he had surgery this offseason, and this happened or that happened. Remember, you always see those guys who try to make it out there for the postseason, and they have big surgeries and they end up missing some of the beginning of next year. I wonder if that's going to happen with Matt Barzal. I hope it doesn't, but we shall see. JP Grumpy.
That's right. Tampa Bay is humiliating the Islanders at just about every position except goaltending. Well, Vasilevsky was real good again tonight, too. And it'll probably be more of the same in mid-April. That's the whole thing.
Rob G. Grumpy says,
what's up, fellas? Bad night so far for the Islanders. Yep.
Please get Lee off of that line with Bo Horvat, Tim J says.
It's terrible.
Hard to watch sometimes. Is Tampa still over the cap?
Nope.
No,
No one's ever over the cap. You cannot be. You have to be cap compliant at all times.
Yep. We got here from Apex Legends says Bum Horvat sucks. He is a 0.44 point per game player. On the 0.44 points per game player, and the Islanders overpaid Loserillo guy. 8 years of this bum. 11 points in 25 games is unacceptable.
It was too much money for too much term. That being said, I like him as a player. He brings a lot, just too much money, too much term. But that's what he does. He overpays everybody and gives them too much term, and they're all no move clauses. I mean,
do you remember when Lou joked around? He's like, "There'd probably be people out there saying I gave too much money." And
no, he said that. He said, "Oh, yeah. It was too much money and too much term." But hey,
yeah, okay. JP said, and still drives me nuts that Lane Lambert won't put Pelech with Dobson and won't put Bolduc with Mayfield. I can't figure it out.
In the playoffs, your top 2 pairings should get the lion's share of the ice time.
Correct.
Pelech should be playing with Dobson.
Correct.
I just
A new defense partner every month for Noah Dobson, and we wonder why. Oh, well, he makes mistakes. He does this. It's almost like he's got a new defense partner every month. It's crazy. It's almost like he's playing with a new offensive lineman, guard, and tackle around him every single month. Every month.
It's like you make it really tough instead of making, and Trotz did the same thing. Instead of making the transition for new, younger players easier by playing them with veterans and letting the veterans move somewhere else, you make it as hard as possible by making them have to swim in the deep end before they're even cutting their teeth. It's stupid. It's just dumb.
The Wicker Man says here, I agree. The Rangers will beat the Devils, and I think Tampa beats the Rangers in the conference finals.
I don't know about that.
Carter Verhaeghe scored 4 goals. He's at 40 goals this year.
Well,
almost like he was. Man, wouldn't it just been something if he was a part of our organization in Bridgeport, and we had a guy who was in player personnel who maybe
he was able to get that bottom line guy. Hey, we know about him.
Rob,
he's responsible for the bottom line guy. Who was responsible for losing Carter Verhaeghe? If he was in charge of, the director of player personnel, you had Carter Verhaeghe. Was he responsible for letting him go? That failure of keeping a player who could put points, pucks in the net. I mean, that's a failure by Fredo, is it not, Lou? What would he say to that? Take away the press pass. Off with his head.
I'll let you read that, Grumpy.
Let him drink. Let him eat cake. Marie Antoinette.
I'll let you read that one, Grumpy.
Great hockey sense by Dobson. You just saw why he can't play with Pelech. He had one shift with him and let Kucherov sneak 20 feet behind him for a breakaway goal. He sucks. Take it deep, both of you.
Maybe
no.
Here's the thing that's funny about it. It's almost like
Where's Pelech? Where's Pelech?
Well, we always get scored on in this same exact fashion against Tampa. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a Dobson, but here's the thing. It happened to Pulak. It happened to Pelech. It's happened to every fucking player who's part of this defense corps. Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Tampa does this to us all of the time. This is the same thing they did to us in both Eastern Conference Final Series. How many goals do they score exactly like this? We're playing everybody ready to go. Tampa is so fucking good. They can have 4 guys back here in their zone and have one guy cherry picking at the other blue line and still win the puck battle, feed it for a wide open pass. What do you want Dobson to do? Do you want Dobson to be saying, I'm going to sit back there at the next blue line and we're not going to worry about covering this zone here?
Why is Pelech attacking? Why is he going forward as opposed to coming back?
It's not Pelech's fault. Here's the thing. It's a systematic issue. It's something that Trotz never could figure out. It's something that Lane hasn't figured out yet either. All the time. It's all the time. They do this all the time against us, right? He's been out of the frame the entire freaking sequence. He's just cherry picking at the blue line. But they do such a good job of winning these pucks. In our forward group, we've got 3 forwards hugging each other in hugging distance. Well, when you've only got 4 Tampa down.
We score. We got to put a whole, but hopefully get, some type of ping pong effect that the puck goes behind the goaltender. That's how we score goals.
This is how Tampa scores on us all the time. If you don't believe me, watch the games. Watch East Conference Finals games. They scored about 3 or 4 goals each Eastern Conference Finals game, Eastern Conference series, just like this against us. They've got one guy. They have this huge long stretch pass as we're playing just a box to box almost, and they just go ahead and connect on a really long pass, and they've got a breakaway opportunity and they score. It's that simple. We can't go ahead and say, "Hey, lay all of our defensemen back. Let's just lay them at our own blue line." So we've got 3 forwards going against 4 Tampa defensemen and forwards. Just doesn't work.
Tampa Bay has beat New Year's.
That's called, it happens all the time to us against this team. Let's never play well against them. And this play right here always gets us. Whoop.
Did he?
Here's the thing: if your forward group is good and can execute, you've got a free power play, ladies and gentlemen. You've got a power play. Can you keep the puck possession? Oh, hold on, wait a second. We're so miserable on the power play. We don't keep possession and put any of those in the net. So Tampa's like, yeah, sure. We'll play shorthanded and put a guy all the way at the front. We'll take the opportunity. We'll roll the dice at a free breakaway if you can go ahead and score a power play goal.
That was right after
take those opportunities too.
Wasn't that right after a penalty?
Perhaps. I don't know.
I mean, look at where he was standing.
They do that all the time, though. Tampa does it all the time against us, and they score all the time like that. It's not a player issue. It's like we're not aware of it, and we don't know how to combat that. We don't do a good job, our forwards, keeping the puck in the offensive zone. JG, Grumpy.
JG says, if we turn back the clock to 1980, I could see TJ being one of those naysayers who argue Nystrom's goal was offsides. Okay. Nystrom's goal was offsides. He was offsides by about 2 feet. Come on. Let's not be afraid to call it. That being said, that was in the second period. Put him up by 2 goals. And so we played back on our heels in the third period. Philadelphia comes back, ties it to push it to overtime to make, and then we win at 5-4, of course. But if you were only up by a goal going into third period, see, my brother was a diehard Philadelphia Flyers fan, loved them. And I hate the Flyers with a passion. Of course, everyone knows that. And he's always said, well, Nystrom was offside. Yeah, that was in the second period. Okay. When you're up 2 goals, I guarantee you kind of lay back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we're coasting. We're going to win the cup. We're going to take it easy. Where if it's a 1-goal game, nose to the grindstone. So you can't say that. If you say, okay, that was the goal that we won the cup on, okay, you could say, yes, offsides, blah, blah, blah. It was not the case. It was second period. So that's why I always find that a real fallacy. He was offside, but it was in the second period.
Horvat is playing with Hudson Fasching and Simon Holmstrom.
Oh, boy.
I believe poor Horvat, can't forget, he's only been on the team a couple months. Give him time. Plus, give him Barzal and Wallstrom.
I'd like to see how Wallstrom matches up with that group.
More and more I think about it, the more and more I think they're going to trade him.
Yeah, he's at that age now. He's starting to develop into a real player. He's starting to bud. So now it's time to move him for some 40-year-old.
Or it's a time period where it's like, he hasn't really done much. Got banged up last year. We're going to get rid of him. Frank or Rob G said, Frank, yeah, we're getting Matt Barzal back soon. That's the good news of tonight. Absolutely. That was the good news, right? There was some bad news, but there was some good news.
I don't know how soon we're getting him back.
We'll get him back, I think, by the playoff time. I really do believe that.
I don't think so.
Paulo C said, I'm hoping New Jersey somehow makes second, and maybe second in the conference, and we somehow make 7th. So they win our division. I just don't see it. They lost tonight, or they still lose.
No, they're winning. They were up 3-2 in the third period, I believe.
Okay, 3-2 at the end of second intermission. Carolina won as well. So Carolina, these games against Carolina are like must win. For the Islanders, tomorrow's game is freaking huge. Absolutely huge. Cannot be bigger than this. And
Florida won 7-0 tonight.
Florida's making the postseason.
Yeah, they're kind of peaking a little bit at the right time too.
Yep.
If the season was an extra 2 weeks long, they probably would get 7th. I don't think they'll get 7th.
Drew here says, go ahead, Grumpy.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Drew said, yeah, the game just proves that we need to sell off all vets. I don't disagree. We need to start transitioning. Nick D said, no show Bo. No show Bo needs to step it up without Barzal. Bo inherited the Bavillier disease of not producing enough.
It just goes to show you that we're just not a team that's designed to score. Sorry.
Yeah. The JP says, I still can't believe that Toronto is a paper tiger, but obviously if they continue to play like Kaka against physical teams, they're going to have problems. Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're a paper tiger. Toronto doesn't have it.
Effing TV off, TJ.
I did see that. Effing TV off, TJ. And then F that TV. Bad news tonight. Frank K said Romanoff to the locker room. Yeah, when he kind of got tied up. Not good. Will Barzal be back next Saturday's game? No, Frank. He will not be. No, it'll be longer than that, unfortunately. JP says here, and if you've been watching Edmonton, you'll notice they're taking the body. McDavid is taking the body, and they have been they're a really big team now. You know, they're very talented. They're going to go to the finals, Grump. Edmonton, I'll tell you one thing. If Edmonton goes to the finals, we know who's been saying it first, JP. You've been the curve with that one if they make it to the finals.
They don't have a goaltender.
A lot of those teams in the West don't. I mean,
Dallas does.
Dallas.
Vegas does. Minnesota does. Those are all teams they're going to have to play and beat.
Kaprizov is out the rest of the year, though, right?
No.
You sure?
No. Svechnikov is out the rest of the year.
I think Kaprizov was out earlier. No?
I don't think so.
When will Kirill Kaprizov in return? He's still out injured with he's been out injured since March 8th with a lower body injury.
Sounds like Matt Barzell.
Yep, they don't know what's going on with him still.
They're
So
playing better though. They've gone into full Islander hockey mode too. Boring as hell to watch, but they're winning. I think they're first in the conference or second.
D-Cut says, when it comes to evaluating players, I'm the MFA king. Never question D-Cut's analysis. You will just look silly. Oh, there it is. Down goes FAU, says Andrew L. Florida is being a thorn in our side.
Not true. Not true.
I think that Florida, if we lose tomorrow, I will be worried about Florida somehow leapfrogging us. That worry and fear will start to sneak in my head.
Okay, there are two. Here's the thing. All we have to do is not lose one more game than they do. That's it to get that 7th spot. They're 2 points behind, no games in hand. Like I said, they're playing a little bit better now. Give them credit for that. But we have after Carolina and Tampa again, we get some pretty easy squads the last 3 games of the year.
Yeah. Grumpy, next comment here.
The Islanders are so high class by Tampa, it's hard to watch. They have like 6 players that would be like the best player on the Islanders team if they were on our team.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Drew L said, TJ, you should have started on time. It's out of character for you to be on time, and today is April Fool's Day. It would have been perfect. I started close. God damn it, Drew. Adam P says here, why don't they crush these MFers? I hate Tampa.
See, I don't hate Tampa. I don't. Why would you hate Tampa? Because they're good? I mean, there's nothing. They're not dirty. They're skilled. They're gutty. What's to hate about them?
Frank said, we're going to win one or both of our next games there, grumpy old man.
Okay. We'll see.
I'm interested because our schedule, we do have some easier teams. I do worry about Washington, right? We did beat them in shootout recently, but still, Washington is a team I worry about that could snag a point from us because I'll be honest with you, this Florida Panthers team, they do have some tough games down the stretch too, right? When we're looking at the schedule, they've got some easy games now, but the race may already be decided by the time they play some of these tough teams. They've got the Buffalo Sabres on Tuesday. They've got the Ottawa Senators on Thursday.
Should be a win.
They've got the Capitals on Saturday.
Could be a win.
That's a game that they need to win because they play Toronto and Carolina the last 2 games of the year.
Loss. Those will be 2 losses. Who's the home team in those games? I don't know how they set that up, who the home teams are. It's a home game. Well, maybe.
Yeah, both home games.
I mean, Toronto's kind of in free fall a little bit now. They have a lot of home games down the stretch.
The only thing I worry about is the Hurricanes. If they've already clinched the best spot in our division and they've already clinched that 2 spot, that they might rest some guys going into the last game of the year.
Yeah.
They've already clinched. So it's like, that's what I worry about. I'm like, shit, if they're playing Carolina, they may just throw the tent in and say, gotcha, we're going to get some other guys here, some ice time, and we're going to make sure we try to get our guys well rested who have been dealing with nagging injuries.
So can you go one more up? The next game is, where is that? Scroll. Yes, that way. So they have 4 home games and 1 road game.
Yeah. 4 home games, 1 road game here.
I mean, it's in their hands, honestly.
The Islanders, and I'll pop up their schedule. Yeah, it is. Because, right, I think both Florida and the Islanders are making the postseason. Just really we're talking about seeding at this point. That's all it is. I think Pittsburgh is dead to rights. We read the eulogy. Grumpy read the eulogy. They're done.
Done.
We've got here. Now, this is also on the road against Carolina.
Yeah.
Then we'll be at home against Tampa.
I guarantee we'll play better against Tampa on Thursday. 3 days rest. What's with the schedule makers? A back-to-back and then 3 days off the last week of the season? What the hell's that all about?
Well, second to last week of the season. But we're going to be sitting on pins and needles there because, right, our last game is on Wednesday. Carolina, or the Florida game, their last game is on Thursday. So you're going to have a lot of fans watching that Florida game is what I anticipate there against Hurricanes. We play the Hurricanes tomorrow. That's going to be a road game. We play Tampa at home. I expect that to be closer, but
2 road games, 3 home games.
Yeah. We play Philly at home. That should be a win. We play Washington on the road. I think we lose to Washington. And I think we beat the Canadians the last game of the year. I think maybe 2-2-1.
Okay.
I do think maybe we grab an overtime loss against the Lightning, probably a loss tomorrow against Carolina, and maybe a loss against the Capitals. But wins against the Canadiens and Philadelphia.
Okay.
So, oh man, don't you love it? It's this time of year, ladies and gentlemen, where we're just eyeing every single game because that's the spot we're in as Islander fans.
Yeah.
Let's hear. JG said, is anybody feeling a 4 unanswered by the Islanders? Me either. Not gonna happen. FAU's run is over, and the curse of Cinderella teams making the Final Four continues. 0-9 in Final
They
Four.
gave that game away down the stretch. Sorry.
I will tell you this: all the teams in this Final Four are not great, so they're not necessarily Cinderella teams, but
UConn and Miami are good. UConn and Miami are good. They're battle tested too. They're good.
James F said, what a disaster of a game. Yeah. Lost on a game-winning shot, says Drew. Frank D says here, well, this game sucks. It does. James F said, I guess I concentrate on tomorrow's game. That's a big game tomorrow. If you lose tomorrow to the Hurricanes, right? Because another win for the Hurricanes keeps them cemented in the 2 spot. But if it's a 4-point swing, right? If we beat the Hurricanes, the Devils win tomorrow, or whenever the Devils play next and we win, hey, that keeps us cemented in the 7th spot, and it looks like maybe the Devils might leapfrog Carolina. There's a lot of ifs with it, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing. Carolina's also got a game in hand.
That's right. They are only a point. They're a point ahead of the Devils, but they do have a game in hand.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And this is assuming, right? I'm assuming that the Devils are going to close this game out tonight. They're going to win. They'll have a game.
It's 3-2 at the end of 2.
Yeah. So unless the Devils find a way to lose, which they might, they'll be
In
at the end of this
Chicago,
game.
against Chicago.
Yeah. Mayfield is effing awful, says Matthew S. We could have traded him away at this year's deadline.
Got a king's ransom for him. What's the difference?
A first plus, but we're just going to let him walk for free.
Yeah.
See ya. I noticed on that picture that Tony Cheese sent in, Scott Mayfield's house wasn't included in on there. That's right, because Tony Cheese knew it's vacant. That's right. Tony Cheese knew Scott Mayfield won't be here long term. He's gone. Elon Avatal says this team will never get past the first round. Be honest, our top 6 is absolute garbage. Yet Lou continues to get support from this ownership group.
It's mystifying. What does it mean, TJ? What does it mean? You think they're just in it for the land grab, right? They're just in it for the money.
I'm not, I'm trying to stay more rosy on an outlook, so I'm trying not to talk about my true feelings. Because the property brothers, I feel like, are a real possibility. Just trying to do it for some sort of property land grab, and that's what it is. And they roll out Mickey Mouse, Snaggletooth, aka just Tony Cheese says they're Ledecky. So it's Paulo C says here, after tonight, Pittsburgh will be out of a playoff spot. Yeah, Pittsburgh is done.
Tristan Jarry is the worst goaltender I've ever seen, ever the worst.
We just smoked Jersey, but yet we can't get past the first round. I think Jersey, if we play Jersey, we have a chance to beat them in the postseason.
We're not playing Jersey. We're not playing Jersey, though. Playing Carolina, team that owns us. Carolina owns us.
If we go ahead and beat Carolina and they continue to struggle tomorrow, but that's a big if, right? In all likelihood, we're probably going to lose to Carolina tomorrow. And that's when I'm like, oh, shit. We lose to Carolina. They continue on. They win their 2nd game in a row, and then we lose. And what does Florida do? Does Florida leapfrog us? Oh shit! Now it looks like we're going to be playing Boston. We're going to be in a freaking dogfight until the end. Yikes, guys. Tim J says here we're losing 4-0. Change up the lines.
It doesn't matter. I don't care what you put on there.
You need to put Engvald with Bo Horvat.
No.
Lou sounds like Joe Biden out there. Oh, no, that's not good. Rob G said, we'll rebound. I think we will, too. I'm not worried about our team. We've been extremely hot. You don't win 100% of the games you play. Nick D said here, Tampa scores 1 more goal. I'm changing it to WrestleMania.
No, yeah, WrestleZania.
What the hell is WrestleZania?
That's that guy that we talked about, Sami Zayn.
Oh?
They call it WrestleZania. Remember?
Oh, shit. That guy who looked like the pale Irish fella.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. And JP says here only 5,500 people listening because of what possibly could Lou Lamoriello have said that he's going to seriously change the trajectory of the on ice product? No, unfortunately, that was not mentioned. JP, If he was asked a question like that, I'm pretty sure he would get a stare of disbelief, like he was going to murder somebody and strangle him. Goon said, TJ and Grump, is the pressure mounting on Sun X concerning tomorrow's big face reveal? Yes,
Nope.
I think so. I think
I
it
don't
is.
think so.
I talked to X today. He was nervous. He's nervous, Grumpy. Gross is an effing clown. Oh, no.
It was amazing how scared he was. Why don't you just ask him a question? Like he's a guy in the street.
Yeah, Frank said, could have re-signed Varlamov after trading him. Exactly, Frank. Exactly.
He said he wants to stay. That's all you have to hear from Lamoriello. Okay, we won't trade you.
JP said, Lou Lamoriello's failure is complete. Grumpy old man, laughing my ass off. Oh, man.
It is.
Lou and Chris need to go, says Frank. I know. Adam P said, I'm so mad at the Islanders right now. They are going to collapse. I'm not sure they're going to collapse, but we haven't played anybody really tough. We played a few paper tiger teams. People say, well, Toronto, I do believe Toronto's tough, and so are the Devils. But here's the thing. Come playoff time, I'm not concerned about either of those two teams. I'm just not. Could they beat us? Maybe over a 7-game stretch, but they're not teams I worry about winning the Stanley Cup. The Devils and Toronto, I don't think have a chance. Nick D says here, everybody knows Lou's going to be forced into retirement. Lou sucks. JS Grumpy says,
I think we need to learn Lou does not give a shit about the future. He wants to win now, even though we suck. Yeah, you could say you want to, win, but if you're not talented enough, you're not going to win. I don't give a shit what you do. That's the problem.
The Tampa Bay Lightning have now outscored their last, I think it was their 3 or last few opponents 14-1. Tampa's playing really well. They're getting hot.
Tampa's they know what to do. They know when to turn it on. They're a veteran team. They know what it takes to win. We used to be like that. Back in the dynasty days, that's the way it was. You knew when it was playoff season.
Yep. Hey, we got to make sure we're getting to that spot, make sure we're in good position. And when it starts getting there, let's start getting ready, baby. Let's start firing it up. Frank says here, yeah, they've rode Sorokin a lot. I'm surprised Varlamov hasn't seen more action, hasn't played more.
I have a question, though.
And it's to answer your question before it even comes out of your mouth, yes. But ask your question.
Since you're pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot, do you want to play Sorokin to make sure you get number 7? I mean, or just say, you know what? Hey, we're in. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
I think tomorrow, usually we match up pretty well with Boston. This year we didn't. Boston just a wagon, right? But I think tomorrow's game, maybe if we get steamrolled by Carolina, then maybe I think you say, maybe we'll just take our chances with Boston. Stylistically, Carolina is a nightmare for us stylistically.
You want to know, we played 6 or 7 games. I think we played 6 or 7 games against those two teams, Carolina and Boston. We have 1 win. 1 win.
Yeah, we beat Carolina.
Anything can happen, guys. Well, if we lose tomorrow, we'll have played 7 games between Carolina and Boston together with 1 win if we lose. That doesn't bode. I'm not feeling too confident playing those teams in the postseason where we've got 1 win over 7 games against those both combined. I'm not feeling too confident. Good teams we don't beat. But here's the thing. Anything can happen. JS says here, Islander fans better riot if Lou is the GM next year. Well, he will be.
He's our GM next year.
He is. Get used to it. Get ready for it.
Sorry.
Nick D said, JP, that's funny. Lou's failure is complete. How dare you question Emperor Lou, says Rob.
Gross should be embarrassed the way he asked. He's scared to ask a question. Dude, that's your job. That's what you get paid to do. You know what? I will tape record the questions you want asked, and I'll give it to you. Just play the tape recorder. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for the old man.
Adam
Why do you look
says,
like Beaky the Buzzard? Did you lose your glasses during the Christmas special, Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol?
Adam P said, it's not very Christian of me, but can Lou just drop already? Oh, no, Adam. Matthew has said,
leave it up there so people won't think that I said it. Leave that comment up there.
No, we're not going to leave that up there. Matthew has said here, the fact that he said we didn't even consider that is downright malpractice. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anybody who still feels confident of him being a general manager should look at when he says shit like that, because I don't think he's lying, because he had his response like, how dare you ask me? No, we didn't even consider. Why would you even question what I'm doing? So it's like that type of just arrogance just kills me as a fan. It kills me rooting for him, because rooting for the team is by proxy rooting for your general manager, rooting for the organization.
When I hear that, I'm like, we're going to be bad for a long time.
We will.
Or
a team that's just scuffling to make the playoffs every year. Maybe we make it, maybe we don't. Maybe we'll win a playoff series occasionally. Is that what you want from your team in the long run? 4 years without a first-round pick.
I'd rather suck for 3 or 4 years and then turn it around and be ready to go for a decade. I would much rather have that, to be honest with you, than a team is just kicking rocks around the yard.
Gungun says, what is Lou better at, stumbling or bumbling?
What's the difference?
Bumbling through his job. He doesn't stumble too much. Well, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it a little bit, Grumpy. I don't know.
What's the difference?
Good question. Holy shit. defensive back Cooper's in the chat, Grumpy. Tony Cheese says, I'm pretty sure Varlamov is there to keep Sorokin comfortable. Sure. There it is.
What is he doing? What type of comfort does he need?
Giving him back massage.
Can he get a support dog?
Yeah.
Get him a support dog instead.
Who was that guy whose dog died? He got himself like a support hamster you were talking about, or something like that. He had to miss time.
That was Olmark.
Oh God, yeah. Did Lou really say that? Yes, Frank. Exactly what we heard is exactly what came out of his mouth. Absolutely. I know. I'm flabbergasted by it too. Matthew, I said he is so oblivious in tone deaf. And now get to the comments before I blow a gasket. Oh my goodness gracious. And JP said, Grumpy, the local media hasn't done their job in decades in New York. The biggest bunch of bootlicking ignoramuses ever.
Bootlicking weasels.
Vinny L said they might backdoor an 8th spot and get swept by either Boston or Carolina anyway. These old mutts still can't play with the big dogs.
And it's, you know what?
It's unfortunate too.
It's not the fault of the players.
Yes.
They give it everything they have. We've seen it down the stretch. That's as good as we can play. We're playing Barry Trotz style hockey, button up defense. Hopefully, the other team makes a mistake. Their goalie sucks. We're able to pop in a couple of goals. We're always on the back foot all the time. These guys are playing hard. They're giving everything they got. They're just not talented enough. It's the same thing I've been saying for years. Even when we were getting beaten by Tampa in the conference finals, I always said, we're never beating Tampa. They're just too talented. And they have a goalie.
Drew L says, your genuine question for TJ, to piggyback off of Tony Cheese's question, but I thought Romanov was there to keep Sorokin comfy and not Varlamov anymore. Yeah, we got to do anything we can to keep him happy, I guess. We just wrecked the Devils, Vinny, or did you forget that? We beat the Devils. We beat them. That's right.
Okay.
And
who the hell is their goalie? What's that?
Vanacek.
Vanacek lets that softy in between the arm, and that was the game. When
we play against good goalies, we don't win them.
They carried the action against us in that game for that goal, and that just shows you that the Devils aren't ready yet. They're not ready yet. They're struggling with Chicago. They're stumbling down the stretch a little bit. Every game is close. They're playing pretty much weak teams. They lost to us, but they're struggling with even weaker teams than us. Like I said, they might hope that the Rangers don't catch them. Not that it matters. They're going to play each other in the first round.
I'll tell you, they still might catch Carolina. Tony G said, I forgot about that. They must share a house in the cul-de-sac. There it is. It's the Mother Russian household. Oh, shit. That's what he said. That's what he said. Pick 13. Damn. Okay, Tony Cheese, you missed your moment of genius. Missed it right over my head on that one.
He should have just named it the Mother Russia household. That's what he should have.
No, I liked it because it required me to do some critical thinking, which I didn't.
Watch out.
I know. Yeah, there it is. Trey bait that we keep. That's Varlamov. There it is in the 13th overall pick. There's Romanov. That's good, Tony Cheese. That was good all the way around. Putin spoon nanny. God almighty. Matthew S. said, Gross is a bubbling moron. What do you expect for people who work for Newsday? It's a garbage newspaper and media outlet. I don't read any of them, so I guess, Matthew, I'll just have to take your word on it.
But it's like the only Islander related paper, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Frank said, God, it's amazing how people jump ship after one bad game. We destroyed the Devils and beat the Capitals in a tough game. We were due, but I guarantee you we'll win one of the next 2 games.
Okay. It doesn't matter. To me, it didn't matter if we beat Tampa or not, but we got dominated. That's what I said. The Devils, okay, to beat the Devils. The Devils can't even beat Chicago. They're struggling against Chicago tonight.
Yeah.
So what does it tell you about the Devils? The Capitals are done. They've been out of the playoff chase since the trade deadline when the GM said, we're retooling, look into the future.
JP says here, I wish I could believe that nobody is dumb enough to follow Lou Lamoriello at this point, but I'm telling you, Lou, still people out there believe in Lou. Brett W says here, Lou is the greatest New York Islanders general manager. He recognizes great talent like Bailey and Holmstrom. He should get a lifetime contract.
Sarcasm off.
There it is. And why do I believe the earlier rumor that Lou gets 2 more years? If that's true, they better get a new young co-general manager. Ideally, Lou moves upstairs. Well, that person's going to be Chris Lamoriello, is what I fear, Frank. Tony Cheese says here, somebody get Lou his, what is that? Lissopril? Lissopril. Tony Cheese, I have no idea what the hell that is. Sorry. JS says here, my only problem with the team is the dark future. We're going to be stuck in an area like we were since 1993.
I disagree. No, we're not, because the ownership is not afraid to spend money. If they get a young, enterprising general manager, I think everything will be okay. It's going to be bad for a while after he leaves, though. And how long do you keep Fredo? I mean, how long is his rope if he gets the job?
Drew L. Grumpy.
It's not even the fact that Lou's not trading Varley and Mayfield was stupid in itself, but their values depreciate now because of their age and upcoming contract extensions. Massive blunder. We've been talking about that for 2 years.
Yep. My main question is, if Lou's gone, what does the next general manager do with every bottom 6 forward that's locked in for the next 20 years?
No, they're not. It's just 1 more year for the bottom 6, except for Casey. He's here for another 4, I think. What a dumb contract that was. But most of the guys in 2 years, they're gone. In 2 years, they're gone.
Frank says, yep, and Mayfield sucks. He's a turnover machine. Well, you could have sold him, but they didn't. Tony Cheese says here, I live 9 miles near Boston, and every time I hear that shitty accent, I want to pull my teeth out. I really dislike Lou today. Christopher C said, TJ, grow some guts, man. Why are you afraid of Boston and Carolina? I say, bring them on. I'm not a coward. I'm not worried about them, Chris. I just don't think we're going to beat them. That's the only thing. Hey, if it's entertaining and fun hockey to watch as a viewer, that's going to entertain me. So I'm happy about that. But I fear that we're going to have a very low chance of beating those teams. Matthew S said here, the arrogance of this fucking pisses me off. It does too. I can't stand Lou Lamoriello.
Who's he talking about? Me, you, or Lou? Maybe
Lou
all
Lamoriello.
3.
No, JP said apparently somebody in Toronto must be hitting tonight because Ottawa has 28 hits in Toronto. In Toronto, 23 through 2 periods, and Toronto's up 3-0. I still think Toronto can possibly get out of the East.
No freaking way.
I've changed my opinion on that.
No shot. They were my dark horse to go to the Stanley Cup
Tampa's
this year.
damn good, man. They're damn good.
No, they're not going to beat Tampa.
And Tampa, I'd argue, is healthier this year than they were last year.
Absolutely, they are.
And so, Mike, for Tampa, I'm like, ooh, if Tampa was this healthy last year, they steamrolled. They would have
beaten Colorado. If they were healthy, they would have beaten Colorado.
Yes, absolutely, they would have. And now they're healthy right now. Again, Injuries can't happen, right? Sergachev took that little bump on the foot or the leg. Who knows how serious that is? But he's had a real big year this year.
Yep.
He's really continued to grow into himself. He's an absolute bully, says Matthew S. talking about Lamoriello. Absolutely, he is. Got a comment here from Jackson T. said, for the Islanders right now, the game is over. Just look towards next game. Not Sorokin's fault. Yeah, definitely not Sorokin's fault.
No.
Apparently, that's what Fredo is doing, according to Lou Lamoriello. Oh, God, Fredo. I pray the Islanders owners see what I see. Lou looks older, and his responses take time. Dementia's beginning.
I'm not saying dementia, but I mentioned it earlier when he did in the preseason. I'm like, he looks old. He's starting to look old.
Yes.
And, you know, when you get old, it's funny. You lose a lot of weight. Looks like he's losing weight too. I mean, you know, he's old. He's freaking old. Older people, they just kind of start thinning out.
Yeah, they start eating less. JS says here, oh, yeah, the next mastermind behind the New York Islanders, Fredo.
I can't think of anything worse.
Adam P said, I've always hated Lou. Once in a while, I give him credit, but that's it. Brett W says, in Lou we trust. Oh my God. JP said, Belichick has had more recent success than Lou Lamoriello has had. Lou Lamoriello has not won a cup in 2 decades, and Garth Snow on roller skates, and what the 80-year-old Lou Lamoriello is. This is a Garth Snow on roller skates, is what Lou Lamoriello is at 80. Yeah. Yikes.
No, yeah, just no. He's done. It's time.
Can we get an age cap for general managers? Oof. John Smith said, God help us. Maybe I'll start following golf. John. Drew L. Grumpy.
Lou is treating this franchise like he's got a free house inside UBS Arena. Ugh. That with the FAU loss is making me just as pissed off as Grumpy.
Ivan D said, Grumpy is going to have a heart attack on air. Oh, man.
Sometimes you got to vent. You know, you got to let the anger. I don't believe in holding anger in. Let it out.
JG said, could I suggest following pickleball as our new sport, Grumpy, to start following? And then Brett W says, no, Bridgeport is a fine organization. Yes, they're doing
That's
great.
not very good. They're run of the mill. There's no prospects down there.
Well, to be fair, Chris really doesn't have much to work with because Daddy keeps trading away all the picks. So, you know, maybe that's
They're not developing any of those players.
Yeah. Drew, I wonder, how is William DeFord?
How about Ishikov? How come he's not up? Right? He's looking good down there. Why isn't he getting a shot? How come Papa's not saying, oh, Ishikov's ready? That's under Fredo's tutelage down there.
Yeah, I'm looking up here. Points. Yeah, Ishikov's played well. I mean, he's got 49 points in 62 games this year in his first year in Bridgeport. Not bad. Looking here, Grumpy. Drew L.
In a way, I wished now that we missed the postseason and lost our pick, because I think it would have taken most Islander fans to finally take the red pill on Lou and maybe even ownership. I don't think ownership is even considering letting him go. Not even close. They're happy with the direction of the team.
Drew said, no. Bridgeport's a fine organization. Oh, wait. April Fools. The April Fools jokes are going. Okay. I believe the Islanders have a decent team that plays the game the right way, but I do not believe in Lou. Yeah. JS says here, I really wish we get a guy like Yzerman or Sakic who can draft well. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Absolutely. We need guys who can draft well, not guys like Simon Holmstrom. I don't want. That's all.
AP said, to be fair, Grumpy, Jim Delavino.
Delvano. I thought it was Delvano. Okay, whatever. Only had one Adams Cup as an assistant GM right before he went to Detroit. But he was an assistant in Detroit. He worked for our organization. He worked for the Islanders. His dad didn't get him the job. JP says the New Haven Nighthawks and the Indianapolis Checkers of the old Central Hockey League weren't exactly titans of minor league hockey. Devellano was a great head scout and basically ran the draft with somebody else. Yeah, guess what? Conte was a great draft guy for the Devils. It's not like Lamoriello was out beating the sticks. It was Conte who was getting all those guys.
This means nothing to me, but hopefully it means something to you, Grumpy, how Jim started his career. He was a scout for the Blues for 5 years, then the Islanders for 2, and then he became the director of scouting. Then assistant general manager in the CHL, director of scouting for the Islanders, general manager of a CHL team, blah, blah, blah. And he finally made his way up after many years, director of player personnel for a CHL team, the Indianapolis Checkers. And then general manager of the Red Wings. And it lasted a long time.
Yeah. You know what you didn't see? You didn't see his dad getting him the job.
Yeah. That's the one thing. I'm like, you could maybe find talent. I just find it really suspicious where it's like, hey, I've got your next best candidate that you never have imagined as a possible solution. And it just coincidentally happens to be my son. I have no vested interest to help propagate and prop him up on the
Or how about when Dad goes to Toronto, Fredo loses his job there and he goes to Toronto.
Well, he
Wherever
Fredo didn't
Dad
go to-
goes,
Fredo
Fredo
didn't go to Toronto. He left and then went to the Islanders, Grump, before. So why is Holmstrom still up? Not Durando or Ishikov, I believe I would say. Andre M. Grumpy.
How about Lou embarrassing Ethan Sears in the New York Post when asked about his contract? He basically told Ethan, go F yourself.
I did not hear that.
I didn't. Well, it was probably in there. You know what? Here's the
Maybe
thing.
it was later on.
See, you want to piss off the writers? Watch out. They got the freaking pen. See, that's what he doesn't think. He thinks he doesn't think that he's beholden to anyone. He thinks he owns the team. It's his team. No. Let me tell you something. If I was owner of the Islanders, the first thing I do is kick the old man out. Get out. I'll put all your shit in a box on the street. I don't even give me your executive bathroom key, whatever the hell. I just want you gone. I don't even want to talk to you. Just drag your lazy old carcass out of here. Fredo, get him out of Bridgeport. I'd rather not even field a minor league team than have that piece of trash running it. Sorry.
Okay, Goon says, why, oh, why? Every game are there several times where the Islanders defense breaks down and nobody is covering the bastard they're supposed to. If a low schmuck like me can spot that, why can't Lane Lambert?
John Cooper's a really freaking good coach.
And their team has five Hall of Famers on that
They
team.
know how to beat us. They know how to beat us.
Long stretch passes.
They know what they're doing.
Yep.
They like I said, the thing that was distressing me is just how they just toyed with us. It reminded me when we played them in the playoffs. This is what it was like. Anytime they wanted to, they could score. We won a couple games. Big deal. When it really mattered, we couldn't touch them.
Yep, let's move on. Robert M. Grumpy says, Holmstrom and Witherspoon can't be sent down because of the AHL rule. That's why they weren't on the Bridgeport roster on the day of the trade deadline. Okay, there it is. Got another comment here from Gungun saying, if Chris Lamoriello gets a gig and goes big, would it flip your wig?
I think that a lot of people would be angry.
I'd be too. Yeah. Adam P says here, I hate what's going on with this team. They aren't even competitive. They better start Volumov tomorrow. No,
I guarantee you Sorokin plays tomorrow.
Yeah, they pulled him out early. I would be shocked if Sorokin doesn't start.
Yeah.
Chris Lamoriello and Brent Thompson need to be shot out of a cannon, says
Yes.
Frank. Jay says here, I just can't wait to lose in the first round. I didn't want to watch hockey anymore this year. I'm tired of it. Oh, good gracious, man. It's bad when the fans feel defeated.
I love the first round of the playoffs. There's games, multiple games on every single night. I love it.
Tim J said, Fredo as a general manager gives me Milbury nightmares.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I tell you, I think if Fredo becomes general manager, he's just going to do exactly like how he's done in Bridgeport. He's just going to sit there and do nothing.
Daddy's still going to run the show.
Yep. Daddy's going to pull the strings of Chris. Goon Grumpy.
Grumpy, if you were offered the Islanders GM position, would you relocate back to your beloved Long Island? Would you then have to apologize to Long Island for fleeing in the first place? I don't know. Does Lou live on Long Island? I don't even know.
Yes, he does. You got to
He
live
only
there.
pops his, I thought he lived in Pennsylvania and only popped his head out of the ground once a year. Puxatawny Lou. That's what I thought. Who knows? He doesn't talk to the press. What the hell does it matter? You could do a Zoom call. Doesn't matter where you are.
Frank says here, laugh my ass off. Love when the grumpy old man gets angry. D-Cut says nepotism is just the worst. It's like an older, talented podcaster asking his son to be a partner because the son can't hack it on his own. I don't know who D-Cut is talking about in this scenario. That would drive-
Oh, D-Cut from Isles Misery Rated R with a supreme slam on TJ. That is comment of the night.
I hate those guys in Isles Misery Rated R.
Oh my goodness. Beautiful.
Oh, buddy, I'm going to start
That's the
good.
best.
That's good. Did Fredo ever play the game at a high level?
He played college hockey at
hockey.
Providence, where Daddy went to, and Daddy was the coach. That's where he went. Like I said,
Was he really the coach at that time period?
yes. I don't even he was coach there, but that he was a coach at Providence. Lamoriello was way back. So he had connections there.
So he was like one of those guys that were just like, holy shit. He only played in 23 career games for Providence. Oh no. He never even played. He was just a Billy Bench. Holy shit! He never even actually played.
At Providence, right?
Yeah, he was a Billy
Yeah,
Bench.
that's where Lou used to coach. He was a coach at Providence.
Man, I wish I had Lou Lamoriello as my dad. He could go ahead and get me a job as the next general
You
manager
know
of
what?
the Islanders.
These look like Simon Holmstrom type numbers
1 point in 23 games.
over 2 years.
Did he play defense? I hope so. I have no idea.
He was first line center.
No, stop. That can't be true. Oh, no. Oh, God almighty. He was a right wing. Holy fuck. He was a forward. Ladies and gentlemen, that's embarrassing.
I told you. This guy, he didn't even get into college on his own. Papa Lou got him. He probably went to some 2-year school to start because he didn't have the grades.
Oh, no. We're not going to go that far, Grumpy. Come
I'm
on.
going as far as I want.
Go as far as you want there, Grumpy.
And what happened? He left, right? Then as soon as he leaves Providence College, he gets a job for the New Jersey Devils as a scout. How is that possible?
He did take 2 years off. In 1996, he graduated in 1994. In 1996, he joined the Devils organization as a scout, working for his dad. And then he took over a dual role as a senior vice president of hockey operations for the Devils and general manager of their AHL affiliate.
Senior vice president, Fredo.
Nice.
You know what they call that?
Man, he had a lot of on ice experience there. So
that's a figurehead position that he got.
Yeah, I understand that. Let's see here.
I wasn't lying.
Sunday Sand says, DJ and Grumpy, it does seem like Lou is trying to prep us to accept Chris as the next general manager. Maybe Lou intends to be an armchair general manager behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sunday Sand, that is exactly what I fear. Yep. And he's still going to be pulling the strings. Okay, let's see here. The more Grumpy compares Lou to Magoo, the more I think of his Biden. Oh gosh. Frank K said here, Chris Lamoriello and Brent Thompson need to be shown the door.
Show the door.
JP says, I don't know who CJ Cron was before fantasy baseball, but holy mackerel, what a pain in the ass. Now I know who he is. Uncle. Gungun says Parcells was the douche to the press too.
Yeah, but at least he was funny. And he talked to the press every week. Not, once a year, twice a year. No.
Shay, I think I made an oopsie. I thought you sent me something that was Drew, but I'd like we tried to pull that prank on Grumpy. I just misexecution on my side. D-Cut says here that spineless, gutless mission. Gross. Let himself get bullied by an 82-year-old man. What a puss.
Yeah, I guess I just don't get bullied. I can't.
Really, Grump? I never would have guessed that. You seem like somebody who just be walked over like a doormat.
Nope, not me. What do I? Because I don't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah. Let's continue along here. Here you go, Grumpy. I'll let you read this. Drew L. Grumpy. I'll let you read that.
We need American sports to bring a European culture to interviews. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Old people want to fault us for being soft when they are the ones who can't handle a damn question. He bullied. He bullied them. That was the thing. He bullied the press.
European interviews, if you ever watch soccer, world football interviews, they go out there, they ask the questions, and they say, well, we noticed that you went ahead and went out there with this formation. You lost 2-0. How much of that do you put on your poor selection of players or your selection? Why are you still putting Richarlison out there when he hasn't scored in 2 games? Why are you doing it? They ask tough questions immediately. It's not like, you think you should think about asking the question of why he's in the starting role and not Harry Kane?
How about this? Don't you think you should be worried for your job? It's not even a question. Yeah, that's the type of question. Do you think you should be sacked this week? Yeah, that's like it. You don't win a couple of games. I mean, do you deserve to have this job?
Do you think you're going to be fired?
You can't motivate the players. Isn't it time for you to go? Those are the type of questions they ask overseas.
Tony Cheese said, my job here is done. Oh, no, Tony Cheese, you're always needed. That's good. And another great play by Horvat. I guess he made a mistake. Gungun said, the only thing missing from this feces Sunday of a game tonight would be giving up a shorthanded goal.
No, that did not happen. So
Verhaeghe's got 4 goals today.
Oh.
Oof. Okay. Horvat has been garbage, but let's shit on Dobson. That's my point. All players have mistakes and they play poorly, but it's certain players because it's certain members of the. I'm going to put Phil in here. Phil is almost a member of the cartel media.
Phil's a useless dog.
Phil is a member of the. Phil is an enemy. Phil Grumpy's an enemy. Grumpy's an enemy of the true Islanders realist. Grumpy. Phil is an enemy.
He's got his own little favorites, his little analytics darlings. You know, they never let Phil play on the playground when he was a kid.
No, that's what it was.
Yeah, because you see, even on the podcast, he's wearing a white shirt. The only thing's missing is a little pocket protector to come up with all of his little calculations, little slide rule, all that stuff that Phil likes to do. It's nonsense. He'll pick if we pick these 3 games out of 80, if we pick these 3, not in a row, because 2, then skip 1, and then another one, he was the best player on the team. Yeah.
Tony Chi said nobody could be homesick for Russia right now. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Grumpy, you're not watching the 10 Commandments tonight.
Is it on tonight?
No, don't let it know, James. No, it's not on.
It's funny because I was talking with the lady who cut my hair. I said, it used to always be on Sunday nights. ABC would show the 10 Commandments, and I watched it every single year. Now they're putting it on Saturdays, I guess.
Joseph C said here, Logan Paul and Seth Rollins match was great. Logan Paul is a piece of garbage, but he's great in the ring. He's a good enemy. I could easily root against him because I hate that piece of shit. Ja says here, I will say if the hockey gods make a miracle story and we win the cup, Luke can do whatever the F he wants to this team. At least I get a team. At least I get a team in my lifetime.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay.
Right, W said if you're voting, if you're putting money on UConn, you're about to lose some money. Go Canes. Okay. The BK Italian kid said, good evening, gents. Grumpy absolutely ripping apart the Lamoriello has me dying laughing. Dark times ahead. Also, they look miserable tonight.
That's why it kind of ties in.
If they were coming out here winning 5-0 against Tampa, I don't think Grumpy would have been as upset. JP said, wait a minute. That's not true, Grumpy. Art Rooney, not a great owner. Dan Rooney was an incredible owner, or was incredible once he got involved.
Couldn't beat New England. Every single year, they lost to New England. They never beat New England when it counted. Ever.
And owners are different than general managers.
Yes, that's right.
The owners are like, all you're doing is providing the money and maybe allowing some, you're not picking. The owner does not pick single-handedly. They've got a team of people they speak with, confidants that they have, and they discuss the pros and cons of these players.
Okay.
Pros and cons of who they hire.
You want to know how involved the Rooneys are in the running of the team? They've had 3 head coaches since 1970. Think about that.
A lot of turnover.
53 years, 3 head coaches.
It was Bill. Who was before Bill Cowher?
Chuck Noll.
Chuck Noll.
They won all the Super Bowls with Chuck Noll. Cowher won 1. People forget, Bill Cowher lost a lot of games, a lot of big games. He won that 1 Super Bowl, but he lost a lot of games. And I think Tomlin was the coach for the 2nd Super Bowl with Roethlisberger. But they were lucky. Seattle absolutely sucked. That win that they got 14-12. That was like the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen. And then Tomlin, I don't remember which one Tomlin won. They beat who the hell did they beat? They beat the Cardinals. The freaking Cardinals. Thanks.
Wolfman said needs a big win tomorrow. They need a big win tomorrow.
Here's the thing. I don't even care if we win. It's how do we respond and how do we play against Carolina. Results don't necessarily. All right, yes, of course, results matter. But if you come out and lay another egg or get dominated like we did today, that's problematic going forward. Not against the shitty teams that we're playing the rest of the season, but in the playoffs.
Okay. Boney Curtis Grumpy.
Brooke, the Godfather, made a public appearance called Andrew Gross. Brooke, the Godfather.
I don't know what that is.
Brooke, the Godfather, made a public appearance called Andrew Gross.
Okay. Tampa humbles teams really quickly, says Joseph C. Did it to Carolina the other night as well.
Yeah, they're ready to play. You know what? I could see them winning the cup again.
All I know is Phil was telling me, Carolina's in a lot of trouble. Carolina's not playing good hockey right now. Carolina's struggling this. They're not scoring goals. And I'm like, could it be just because they're playing really tough teams? They played Toronto twice. They played Tampa twice. And they played Boston twice in like an 8-game spread or an 8-game time period. Some ridiculous amount of good teams. I said, let's see how we do when we play some of these tougher teams. And today was not good. Not good.
This is what it has been for the last number of years.
Under playing Barry Trotz hockey, this is exactly how it looks. We never beat any of the good teams. We beat the shitty teams. That's what we're back to again.
can't beat the really good teams, just don't match up. And, they're just better than we are. But we can beat all the shitty teams. That's how we made the playoffs, though. Let's give Lane Lambert credit again for changing systems just to make the playoffs.
I think Lane Lambert's done a fantastic job as a first-time head coach this year. And I mean, fantastic.
So do I.
I know he's going to get shit by some people, but I think he's done a great job. I really do. Elon Avatal says here, the franchise is going to be absolutely nowhere when Lou Lamoriello, two-time Lou Lamoriello, number 2. Chris Lamoriello leading the charge. Yet some of the fan base and owners are fooled by this joker.
Isn't it funny that he came out on April Fool's Day and did this press conference?
Oh, man, maybe. Oh, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious, Grumpy. Goon Grump.
Does anyone else find the spotlights continually shining on the ice in Tampa annoying? Or is it just because the Islanders are getting fleeced? I didn't even notice it.
I didn't notice it either, Goon. Christopher C. said,
I mean, they could have turned the lights off in the Tampa Bay end each period because the Islanders spent any time in there.
Christopher C. said here, what makes you think, or what makes people think that Lou's son is taking over as general manager? We don't know what the future holds. And if that's the case, shouldn't us fans do something about it? Well, I think it's just kind of the way, Christopher, that he's talking about Chris Lamoriello. I've never met another general manager who's spoken so much about the general manager of their AHL affiliate and talked about how great of a job he's doing, how he needs more. At the beginning of the year, it's, he needs a lot more respect. I think he's one of the greatest budding general managers that are there, talking like pumping up his kid. And then anytime where it's like, hey, what do you think about Hudson Fasching? Well, Chris did.
Chris Lamoriello.
Chris.
He's a genius who spotted him.
The sad thing is it sounds like everywhere he's gone, Chris Lamoriello, and that's why we kind of went through that. Everywhere Chris has gone, it's because his dad had ties there.
Oh, shit.
Maybe is Chris a fantastic? I cannot tell you. I do not pay enough attention to the Bridgeport Islanders and general manager roles and watching interviews. I don't do that. I don't have enough time in the day. Maybe is Chris competent? Maybe. But is there also the possibility that his dad has gotten him every single job and opportunity in his life just because his dad has connections? That's also a possibility.
Absolutely.
I don't want that.
That's the way it works.
Yep.
Absolutely.
JP said, you guys, TJ and Grumpy, are the best. No doubt.
Thank you.
TJ Italian Kid says, Verhaeghe scored his 40th goal of the season tonight. Massive blunder by the Islanders to let him go. And Ratu. Yeah.
That's what happens when you let go of your young talent or you trade it for aging veterans. If you would have kept all the young guys, moved out the vets, and reloaded, we would be ready to go as a team on the absolute rise who could contend for a Stanley Cup. Think about it. Boston, older team. Tampa, older team. Carolina's young, okay? Pittsburgh, Washington, older teams. They're all on the downside. We're with that group because we're older. If we'd been smart, like as soon as he was hired, I told TJ and everyone who listens to this show, stop rolling your eyes, stop dipping your head back, what they should have done. We could be in the position of power right now, but we're not. And I don't see it coming anytime soon.
We've got a lot of comments, Grumpy, and I'm like in 5 minutes, I want to start wrapping the show up. So I'm trying to get through some comments, and you're going down the greatest hits and the greatest singles line. I'm like,
we don't need to talk about any basketball comments then, because
Drew,
that's the Old Man show.
I popped this up to say, Drew,
are you not able to skim through the comments and find the valid ones?
Drew, we're going to talk about basketball tomorrow. That's the only reason I popped that up, buddy. Relax, huh? D-Cut says, Verhaeghe with a hat trick, up to 40 goals now. Nice job, Horvat effing clown. Frank says, teacher, you're such a freaking Rangers fan. Their defense sucks.
Their defense is not great.
Lou reminds me a lot of Cobra Kai's coach and the original Karate Kid. Will do everything in his way, or will do everything in his way. Otherwise, he resents you. Not very Christ-liked, I must say. Got to do everything. Sweep the leg. There
Sweep
it is.
the leg.
Ratu hasn't been on the ice yet, says Wolfman.
He's in the minors.
Yeah, he's in wherever the hell they play. TJ reads baseball comments on an Islander podcast and complains he doesn't have time to read all comments.
Bingo. And here's the thing: he blames me. We got comments, and he's reading basketball comments. Let me handle the comments. I'll be done in 10 minutes. All of them would be done.
Go ahead. You got it, Grumpy.
Okay.
Just sit back.
Okay. I'm only going to hit the ones that are important. Okay. Let's go Islanders. That's a good one. D-Cut says, last week, let's see how the Islanders do against real teams like Toronto and New Jersey. This week, The Leafs and the Devils have been exposed. That's correct. Thank you.
They have
Joseph
been
P.
exposed.
says Carolina is a paper tiger too. Their goaltending and power play suck, and they have no elite finishers. All 3 Hurricanes goalies have sub 900 save percentage in March. Here's the thing. They absolutely own us. That's why I'm interested in watching the game tomorrow. Wolfman says, have faith in
Our playoff team.
Okay, that's cool. Grump, get it right. Sorokin is the best player on our team. Second best player is Jari. Come on, correct.
Bridgeport
Bridgeport
to win
wins
tonight.
5-2. Androv scored his league-leading 32nd goal. Terry and Thompson, 2 goals each. Why the hell is Terry even on that team?
I freaking hate Cooper. I want to smack that stupid smile off his face. Oh, man. Declan, Grumpy.
Here's how it's going. That was miserable.
It was
Hey,
bad.
guys, how's it going? That was
tonight
miserable.
here.
There you go.
What about Curtis?
Yo, my boy, who's a St. Louis fan, come over tonight to watch the Islanders get blown out by Tampa. Is he a bad luck charm, or did the Islanders just suck? They just don't match up with Tampa.
Here you go. SB said, I'm really depressed now that there's a good chance that Lou will be the general manager next year. I can't stand this guy anymore.
Yeah, it's either him or Fredo next year's GM. That's it.
SB. It's okay.
I'm really depressed now that there's a good chance Lou will be. All right, you already talked about that.
I just read this. I'm just saying, don't be depressed. Don't be sad. Go ahead, Grumpy.
Anthony Rizzi predicted the final score. Yes, he did. 5-0.
There it is. DJ, you went from being a human fence riding Switzerland of answering to the king of freaking millennial hissy fits in meltdowns of hot takes.
There you go.
I just had comment of the year, boys. I don't know. That other one, I guess.
No, D-Cuts was better. Sorry,
Good.
Pony Boy.
It's close. That's the second, but the other one was better. Where has Bo's scoring gone? Says RE45.
Right in that bank account.
Fuck. Why is Doxson hubbing the right board when the puck is on the right-hand side of the dot?
Because his piece of shit partner doesn't know what he's doing. Next.
Okay. God almighty here. Or Snorvat is an okay second line center at best, and he always has been. He needs an all-star winger just to look above average. Oof.
True.
Oh, man.
He's not a creator.
The Penguins are officially out of a playoff spot. Yes, they are. Paulo C said, guys, just be happy that we're here right now.
That we are where we are. Be honest. When Barzal got 18 games ago, and I would ask you, do you think we're going to make the playoffs?
No, I
think what I said at the time was there's a whole bunch of teams in the suck zone. Whoever got hot, that's what I said. Whoever got hot was going to make the playoffs. It was us.
You also said we
changed styles.
That's my point. We changed styles. And here's the thing: we were firmly entrenched in that. No, we're not making the postseason. We changed styles almost overnight.
Yes,
and we resulted in much more wins against the suck squad teams. Yep. All losses against good teams. SB said, Grumpy, we're about to trade Wallstrom and our next 5 first rounders for 7 second rounders and Patrice Bergeron.
And then
7 second rounders for Patrice Bergeron.
And then he'll resign. He'll retire.
JP.
They trade Wallstrom. They regret it for 10 years. They have to find out who he really is in the next 3 to 4 seasons. Probably going to be one of the few bright spots. Yeah, I mean, but it looks like that's the next guy to go. They have nothing else to trade. Next year's one, so that'll be next year's trade deadline. Edmonton's going to have 3 100-point players and not a 100-point team. Thank you.
Well, Grumpy, I'm going to start wrapping things up here. What do you want to say before we end the show today, Grumpy? 2 hours and 30 minutes in here. Islanders, bad loss tonight. Kind of hard to watch against Tampa. Got a game tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time against Carolina. Both teams are playing back-to-back. We're going to be traveling to Carolina this evening. The Islanders are. Grumpy, what do you want to say? What are your thoughts right now?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
I was hoping I'd get some sort of reaction like, hey, I'm not worried about that, or I'm not worried about the loss against today, Tampa. I still think good teams give us struggle points. Yeah,
I'm not concerned. All right, so we lost today. It didn't matter. I didn't have this penciled in as a win anyway. I just didn't like how we were just totally dominated. That for me, that was frustrating. But tomorrow's another big game. Then we got Tampa again. I expect us to be better tomorrow, and I expect us to be way better against Tampa on Thursday. But we'll talk about that on Wednesday. I'm not saying we're going to beat Tampa or Carolina, but I think we'll play better than we did today.
Well, yeah, thanks, Grumpy, for coming on the show as always. To give a few updates of scores around the league, the Devils did go ahead and beat the Chicago Blackhawks 6-3. For those just joining, Carolina Hurricanes beat the Canadiens 3-0. The Florida Panthers beat the Columbus Blue Jackets 7-0. The Islanders lost 5-0 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those are the games that really affect us. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the show. We'll be live tomorrow on the TJ and the Grumpy Old Man Show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could find that in the link in the description below or as a featured page on our YouTube channel. So make sure to give that a check out. Sun X going to have a face reveal. Whoa, Sun X with a face reveal. That's a big one, guys. That's worth almost the price of admission all alone, which is just a click in opening up the webpage. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be live with you tomorrow, teaching a Grumpy Old Man, 8 p.m. And thank you, as always, Grumpy.
My pleasure.